A couple of nights ago, I was talking. We had actually, when was this? It was last week. Jack Murphy was on the podcast, and I think we were talking about Mandalorian. And I said, I give it like a C+. I enjoyed the first season. It's okay, but not good enough to where I was like, oh, I got to watch season 2. And then he said, no, trust me, like it gets better. And I was like, all right, I'll watch it. So I started watching these episodes, and I really do enjoy the show. I think it's great. And I think Gina Carano particularly does a great job as Cara Dune. Well, as most of you know, she has been canceled, fired over what is like a pretty mild post that actually was, she was basically saying, don't demonize your neighbor. Well, any excuse for the woke mob to destroy someone for whatever reason, and it was taken. And now it's not just about the criticism over cancel culture. It turns out Pedro Pascal, the lead of the show, had a very similar tweet in 2018 where he compared, or he was trying to compare, the United States to World War II Germany. The only problem, well, people are saying, and I'm not sure, I haven't fact-checked this, so check me on this one. The image he posted wasn't even from America. It was 2010, and it wasn't even kids in cages because the door was like open. It was just some nonsensical, virtue signal. But that was fine. For Gina Carano to say, hey, don't demonize your neighbor. That's what they did in World War II Germany. They're like, that is abhorrent. How dare you defend Republicans? And thus, she's been fired from Lucasfilms, which she was also supposed to get like another show they were reporting. Also dropped from her agency, United Talent, which is one of the biggest agencies. That's huge. So we got a big cancel culture episode for you guys today because we've got mass censorship. We've got, there's this documentary that got pulled down. I don't know a whole lot about it, and I'm not here to praise it or criticize it, just talk about the removal. It's called Planet Lockdown. The media says it was a conspiracy theory document, but it got 20 million views before it was removed, and now we don't even know what was being said. So we're going to talk about all this stuff and other things like what apparently Biden wanted some restrictions on Florida because Florida is releasing the lockdown. It's going to get spicy. But joining us today, we have an awesome guest, the ultra famous Blaire White.
Hi. I wore a beanie just for you to be on brand.
To be on brand.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it is mandatory, but Luke and Ian just continually defy the rules.
Shirk the law.
We're rebellious.
Do you want to just give a brief introduction for people who might not know you?
Yeah, sure. I'm a YouTuber, internet personality, I guess. Been around since 2016. I do a lot of commentary on culture, and you and I have kind of ran in the same circles for a few years. So is this our first time doing something on camera together?
I think so.
Because
I think we were at an event once together.
Yeah, it was the MythCon thing.
And we hung out in LA once.
Oh, that was like
Long time
VidCon
ago.
2017. Hella long
Yes.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Those were the days.
So, you got a big YouTube channel, and we'll talk about stuff. We also got Luke Rutkowski.
I refuse the beanie.
Yes.
Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rutkowski of wearechange.org, and I have upgraded. I am no longer just a t-shirt vendor. I am a vendor of a bunch of things. Board games, customized probiotics, water filters, you name it. And if you're interested in some of those products and want to support me, you can on wearechange.org/donate. And because you do, I'm here. And thank you very much for having me.
Nice plug.
Yeah, that was
Right.
good. He's a master.
Subscribe to my channel. I didn't plug anything.
Yeah, there you go.
Blaire, I'm so glad you're here. Early adopter of Minds technology, helping us kind of, you didn't know that I was involved with it at the time.
Yeah.
But, free speech all the way. Hey, and I was going to ask, do you have Twitter? I was going to shout out your name on Twitter. I don't know if you're on
Somehow
Twitter.
I still have Twitter. I don't know how I'm not
Amazing.
banned.
Impressed.
Let me knock on wood.
What is
But
your Twitter name?
it's MS Blaire White, Ms. Blaire White.
Thanks a lot. And shout out to the kombucha. This is the pineapple basil. It's very good.
Ooh.
Shouting
Nice.
out your own
Looking
kombucha.
good. You
Shout out
made it.
kombucha.
Sorry, Rachel, let's press on all
Oh
the
yeah,
buttons.
I'm here in the corner pushing buttons. Thank you guys.
Very
So
important.
I think I'm going to launch my own pillow company. And
Do
I think
it.
I'm going to call it Our Pillow.
Yes.
So I'm jokingly going to make a pillow, like not a legit company, but just like as merch. Just because, you know what, it's time for the real criticism of my pillow is that it's my pillow. No, our pillow.
That's
We
right.
must-
Right.
We're in this together. But let's
Nice.
we'll talk about cancel culture. Before we do, head over to timcast.com, become a member because we've got some pretty serious stuff that we just put up. We did an after show members only exclusive segment with Matt Brainerd, who we had on last night, talking about, well, let me just read the title. Matt Brainerd announces report on illegal ballots in Georgia and explains the results. And we get, I don't know, we may have said things that YouTube would actually ban. So we wanted to make sure that it was on the website. If you want to watch it, become a member. And there's this, I'll be careful with what I say because, YouTube is ban happy. We're literally talking about cancel culture and the threat where if you try and speak freely, they'll nuke you. So we have no choice but to put it on the website. However, in the future, we will have free content. Just for the time being, we don't actually have it set up that way. So, but if you become a member, you'll get access to all of these podcast episodes, segments, etc. That being said, One more time, timcast.com, like, share, subscribe this video. Let's talk about the latest news with Lucasfilm. You guys maybe have heard, because it was the #1 trending story last night after we did the show. We have this from Variety. Lucasfilm and United Talent drop Mandalorian star Gina Carano following offensive social media posts. I'm sorry, I don't think the posts... Well, look, I guess offensive is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. But she basically made a post. It looked like she was quoting someone else who said that in World War II Germany, they pitted neighbor against neighbor. And that's what gave the political party there, I would just say it, the Nazis, the ability to then round people up. They got the people of the country all angry. They were demagoguing. The crazy thing about what she posted is it's exactly what the left has been complaining about with Donald Trump. They said Donald Trump is a demagogue who is villainizing people and tearing us apart. So then Gina Carano is basically like, yeah, you know what? That's what they did in World War II Germany. We shouldn't do this. And they were like, oh, you bigot, ban her. Well, the big news, the big update is that, well, Disney's kind of getting slammed because Pedro Pascal did something very similar, and he's the star of the show. So he's able to post these comparisons claiming the U.S. is like Nazi Germany. Nobody cares. This should be just proof to anybody that we're dealing with hypocrites who don't actually care about what they're saying. It is absolute BS. And I canceled my Disney Plus. You guys canceled Disney Plus?
I never got it.
I don't have it.
I use my friend's login.
I don't support the
There you
Chi-Coms.
go.
Are you supposed to admit that?
I don't know. But I think what's interesting is that she didn't even mention leftists or Democrats or the left in her
Right.
post, unless I'm mistaken.
No, there's nothing
Okay.
like that.
So it's kind of like if the shoe fits. Like if someone's talking about Nazis and you get mad, you might be a Nazi.
Right. It's weird. isn't it?
And like you said, the entirety of the left has been making Nazi comparisons for the past 4 or 5 years over Trump and over right-wingers in general.
Why did they fire Gina Carano? Like, I've been thinking about this all day because I recorded a segment earlier in the morning. It can't be for the stated reason. Maybe they just didn't want her.
Yeah.
They wanted to find a reason to fire her, and they were like, "Ooh, now's our chance."
Well, she's been an undercover Hollywood conservative for a minute. I remember back in, I think it was August or September, they were trying to get her back then too.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
she
really?
made some kind of post about pronouns in
Boop, bop,
bio. Yeah, she made a boop bop beep post,
Yes.
and which I thought was funny.
Is that a meme or something, or is just?
She was making fun of like R2D2
Yeah.
and saying that was the
Great
pronouns.
combination, yes.
I didn't
Yeah.
even
She also-
It was
realize that.
funny.
She also posted about individuals like Epstein. And
Yeah,
as you
she
know,
did.
a lot of people in Hollywood and
Can't say
government are
that.
usually connected to individuals like
Yep.
that. And, it's just absolutely scary and dangerous what's happening because it's so Orwellian. It's so backwards. We have unaccountable billionaire corporate executives deciding which speech is okay and which speech they should censor because it's dangerous, when in reality, them doing that is dangerous. And it's absolutely
That- well,
ridiculous.
But that's why I'm saying I don't think. I feel like there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Because-
Politics.
What do you mean?
Well, the boop bop beep thing was more offensive. It was like it was considered offensive to pronouns or whatever. Not that I think it was offensive.
I feel like
just-
none of it's offensive. Everyone is so. There must be something
Yes.
else to it. I don't get it. Maybe she made the wrong people mad.
Yeah.
Everyone's so
she's
jaded.
defiant.
That's what I'm
You,
thinking.
That's
you
what it
can't,
is.
Yeah.
you can't fake offense. There's no way. I mean, we saw a little of the kind of like outrage by the blue check marks yesterday before the major decision was made because we were talking about this story right before we went on. And
I didn't think they'd fire her.
I didn't think it would go this far. And then after the show, I'm like, holy cow, they fired her from the show. And then a lot of actors are pissed off. A lot of people on the show are pissed off, and they should be. I mean, this is leading towards this kind of situation that's going to cause brain drain in one way or another, whether it's people who want to come here who are going to be afraid because people are just getting canceled because of their opinions that are milquetoast, that are not even
Yes.
that wild, that are not even that partisan. She was talking about a historical reference where people were riled up so much that they started to hate their neighbor. Something, of course, that many people prove by the actions today is a legitimate threat, and they proved it. They proved it
It's
today.
exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what this reminded me of? When Luke and I were in Hamburg, Germany for the G20, there was a moment where Luke was just walking down the street with just like a random local journalist, and someone pointed and yelled Nazi Schweinhund at Luke, and then random people who were just sitting nearby jumped up and random started punching him. But you could tell the story better than I can.
Well,
I mean, I even have history of my family fighting the Nazis, fighting the communists as a Polish-born proud person. I'm like, why am I in Germany getting called a Nazi, getting attacked and jumped and beat up by these people? I was like, are you freaking kidding
think
me?
about this.
Yeah.
What was particularly striking about what happened to you was that there were people just sitting on the ground, like on the curb. And as soon as they heard the word, they jumped up, having no idea who you are or what you were doing, and started beating you.
And
right?
it was brutal because like it wasn't just like one group of people. It was organized in a way where I was able to push away, get away, and then down the block someone would hit me, and then down the block someone else would hit me, and I'm like, I can't get. I had to keep running because they were everywhere, and there was literal squads of individuals with my photos, and a whole team of them running around, not just my photos. There was other journalists, independent journalists, mainstream media journalists that weren't even connected to us. They just had photos taken next to us. They were just our friends that were just there that had nothing to do with anything political. They got the crap beat out of them because they had Antifa hit squads literally looking at photos, running through all the crowds.
That's not the issue, right? The issue is that there were people who didn't have those photos who were just like, there was like a guy and he's like sitting on the ground eating chips. And then as soon as he hears someone yell Nazi, he runs up and starts hitting Luke, having no idea why he's doing it. What I see with what Gina Carano posted and then what happens now still with the same, it's the same thing. I don't care if they're fascists or anti-fascists. They seem to love to just randomly beat people they don't know.
Yeah.
Granted, one was substantially worse. We're trying to stop the authoritarians from moving in this direction. Why? Because Disney fires Gina Carano while thanking the paramilitary group in Xinjiang that is running Uyghur concentration camps.
Right.
So forgive me if you're like, how dare you compare Antifa to the fascists? Well, the Antifa people apparently are cheering on Disney, who is thanking the paramilitary group running a concentration camp of a religious minority. So it kind of feels like we're getting dangerously close to some real world parallels.
And she proved it today with her post. And Lucasfilm released a statement, and they said her Twitter posts were, quote, abhorrent and unacceptable. I mean, are you kidding me? And those are the statements that, of course, Twitter, ran with. So whenever you clicked on the story, it said Gina was fired for abhorrent social media posts. And of course, they don't list what the post was. And when you really look at it, Jeffrey Epstein, this beep bop thing, this Nazi comparison, not even comparison, but just saying, hey, this happened during history. We shouldn't let it happen now.
Well, hold on. Wasn't Walt Disney like a raging anti-Semite?
He was, yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, there you go. He's offended that Disney's offended because she's calling them out.
Yeah, if anyone
Right.
should be canceled, it's Disney for their
Seriously.
participation with the Uyghur Muslim police force, their ties with Walt Disney of all people, and their cartoons also have a long history that's very controversial. There's a lot of things we could bring up. I mean, if we're going to do anything, not just cancel your membership, cancel Disney all in general. If you want to play by these rules, cancel all of these people.
Yeah,
I
I
have
was
to tell my friend to cancel his account that I'm using.
Oh, boo.
But you know what? I wish that there were more. I wish people weren't such cowards, because half of Hollywood is conservative. Okay, I would say half, generous. Okay, and no one is speaking up on her behalf that is a conservative in Hollywood. No one. And it's like they're just sitting there hoping that it doesn't eventually hit them, and it's going to.
Yep.
Whether it's in February, the summer, fall. So at some point, they're going to get you too. Because in my opinion, celebrities who don't speak about politics are always conservatives. And we talked about that earlier. It's like,
Right.
if you're not talking about it, you're probably at least right-leaning. And that's all it takes. Because like we said, she wasn't even saying anything super partisan.
I was in LA a couple years ago, and there was some like B-list celebrity guy, and he was talking to people, and someone who was we were out in the street. One of the guys who was there was a Trump supporter, and so he was talking to the celebrity, and then when everyone started leaving, he's like, "This dude voted for Trump," and he goes, "Shh, come on, man, just don't tell anybody." And then he looked at me and he's like,
See-
"Dude, for sure, yeah, but no one can know." And I'm
It's like, I get it, but like I also hate it.
Yes.
That everyone is so cowardly, because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, because no one's speaking up, it does make the few people who speak up, they take all of the heat. And I've always talked about that. So it's very frustrating.
I've always hung out with some like celebrities whenever I go to LA, and all of them treat me like their secret girlfriend. They're like, just don't tell anyone we're, I'm like, dude, you don't even got to tell me that.
Yes.
I'm not,
know.
fanboying or gonna take a picture with you. Just relax and calm down. They're like, I love your stuff. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I want to know about this.
and
then
they're dying to talk about
they're
it. with
dying
someone.
to talk about it. They love that. They have a lot of passion, and I'm not gonna tell you exactly who it is, but there's a bunch of them, and there's a big community of people that have to literally be quiet about their own personal beliefs, about something that they truly deep down believe is true, that they can't even openly talk about because they're scared of getting the hammer across their head.
Those ideas will die with them. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
That's the point. If you don't say them, they go away. It's like
Great point.
it's like the mask, right? You wear the mask so you can't spit the coronavirus at people.
Yeah.
So they're putting a mask over your ears so that you can't. Well, actually, no. It's literally a digital mask and a physical mask. This is what's really crazy about what's going on.
Right.
I think the reason they got rid of Gina is not because of this one post. It's because she's a rebel, because she defies the orthodoxy. It's a series of posts, and they're like, we cannot have someone going against us, because they don't want this individual gaining power. They don't want celebrities to go up and foment some kind of revolt against the establishment. But I tell you what's worrying. I mentioned this before. You can't go to a bar. The bars are all under restrictions. So people aren't meeting each other. They're not sharing ideas. They're not talking. So they go online. But those ideas online that are bad are filtered out because it's hate speech or wrong think or whatever. So what they're doing is the longer they stay locked down, the more they are controlling exactly what people think and hear and say.
That is so true. And, so I live in LA. Pray for me. And they just started reopening outdoor dining. Of course, it's freezing. No one's eating outdoors. But along with it was a stipulation that you couldn't turn the TV on in restaurants. Restaurant owners could not have their TVs on. And it's like, it really is about a control of information, a control of conversation. And like you said, of meeting people, exchanging ideas, starting to question, why have I been on my knees begging for money for the past year from the government? Why, maybe the mask thing doesn't make as much sense as people think. Maybe this doesn't make as much sense. It's about control of the conversation. And it's so disturbing.
We're going to get banned.
Instagram just said they're going to start banning people for hate speech and direct messages.
Right?
Yep.
Well, it's not just them. I mean, we could list a whole number of individuals that were banned, that were hit today. But I think the larger context of why this is happening is this larger insecurity police state that we've seen be the epitome of the Biden administration. We've seen them representatively be surrounded by police officers trying to look tough. And I think this is another example of this exemplified with just striking someone down who wasn't really saying anything controversial, wasn't saying anything crazy. But this is going to have a chilling effect, not just in Hollywood, but in the larger social media political spectrum where people are like, well, I don't want my Twitter account taken down. I better not even dare to talk about history, because if I do, they're going to destroy me and I'm going to lose my job. My agency is going to take me down. And then this is going to reverberate amongst people. And we have to understand it only works because we let it work. This chilling effect, this fear, this silencing efforts have been done in many coordinated ways. And this is why, for so many reasons, big tech oligarchs, social media companies like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they never tell you exactly why they ban you. They never give you a reason. They never give you a way to even answer yourself or even have a fair hearing or even have a decision that you could be held accountable for. No. Blanket cut. No accountability, no transparency. Life sentence, forever deleted from the discourse, not being able to talk ever. Because why? We don't even know.
So what
and
happens?
That's the reason.
People don't want to experience that. And the way I know it's real, what people are feeling, that fear that you talked about, is that even I sometimes catch myself feeling it. And I have made a living off being outspoken on the internet for years. And even I sometimes, before I say something, I'm like, should I say that? Which always makes me want to say it more. But still, it's like, imagine the person who is working a 9 to 5, who is working in a corporate environment where they can't say anything. My fiance was working at a job where over the summer, he's not working there anymore, so I can say this now, but his job was donating a ton of proceeds from the shoots he was doing. He works in production in Hollywood, from money they made to bailing out rioters. And he couldn't say anything about it. He's like, so I'm working with this company generating revenue, and they're sending that to bail out rioters who are destroying the city I'm living in, where I'm now unsafe because they're destroying the city I'm living in. So that's what it is. People can't say anything.
Hollywood is funding terrorists?
Basically.
Yeah. You have people who go around threatening you. They threaten your business, they threaten your life, they destroy it. And then you have these, these personalities, these faux progressives who cheer that on.
Right.
Then when they deploy the National Guard en masse to D.C. to lock the place down, these supposed anti-fascists who think the U.S. government is this evil empire cheer that on.
Right.
No, these are people who are just they're bootlickers, but that's probably being generous. They're literally the boot. They're a tool of the state to suppress.
What happened to the ACAB? All cops are bad. What happened to that?
Seriously?
That went out the window so quick once they were back in
the
power.
National Guard aren't cops, so they get
True.
a free pass.
Yeah, but an unarmed woman was shot and killed.
Right.
And the story now, apparently, this officer from the Capitol wasn't actually hit in the head.
Yeah.
They don't know what happened. They think some reports I saw said they think it may have been pepper spray.
Well, there's reports of him answering back and talking to family saying he was okay, and then the next day passing away. And then it's still a mystery because we don't know what happened. And if you look at the casualty rates, I mean, there's a heart attack, there's someone being trampled. It's all Trump supporters. Even there's reports of the officer being a Trump supporter. And still a lot of mystery. Why can't we find out what's going on, especially if we're going to be using this event for such an example to lead us into this new political sphere? We should understand what happened here if we're going to use this as an example and keep talking about it, right?
You know what I love? I love all of a sudden the Democrats like falling over themselves to defend Mitt Romney. There's like a video of Mitt Romney being ushered to safety, and they're like, Mitt Romney was almost hurt. And I'm like, is that the first time you cared about a Republican?
Right.
I think so.
I'm old enough to remember the things that were said about Bush, McCain, Romney. It's like they treated him, and maybe people that are a little younger than me, I guess I'm not that old, don't remember, but they treated them just like Trump. Like Romney was racist and sexist, and McCain was racist and sexist, and so was Bush.
I don't know.
Huh?
Yeah.
Dog on the car.
The car.
Oh, I remember that.
I don't remember that.
He
But-
put like a dog carrier on his roof or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Mitt Romney is awful.
He
mind
is
you.
awful, but it's
But
like
he
the
doesn't
rewriting,
deserve-
and suddenly everyone loves him. It's like, ugh.
I can respect that they don't want the man to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt either. I might not like the guy, but I wish him nothing but safety and a long life and happiness with his family. So I get it, but I just love this idea that people screaming he was a fascist trying to take over the country in 2012, all of a sudden they're like, this poor man. Like, oh, okay.
We have to understand these are limited people and their reactions that benefit the establishment.
people?
These are a few people. These are not the
Oh, right,
majority
right,
of
right.
people. These are not a big
I thought you were-
representation of everyone. There's not that many of them, but when they do speak, their voices are elevated through the algorithms, through, of course, the news feeds that curate and make you see this to spin this larger divide and conquer cycle. And I think by and large, people don't like this because when you look at the number one downloaded app in the world right now, can you guys guess what it is?
TikTok.
Nope, Telegram.
Oh.
Telegram.
The
Really?
third
Whoa.
one is Signal. All communication efforts. I heard negative things about Telegram. I still have to do more research
I
about
love
this. They've
Signal.
been accused of censoring posts as well and working with governments. I still haven't been able to verify that. I need to do my own research on that. But when you look at Telegram, when you look at Signal, they represent communications that are away from the control of the state, away from the moderators, away from the mainstream media that will censor you and try to ruin you and take away your job and take away your existence as a human being in our society for having the wrong political opinion. And essentially, I mean, what we're seeing here is journalists, some blue check mark individuals being highlighted, promoted by these big tech oligarchs that are celebrating the destruction of someone's career. And that's sick in its own twisted own way. And then the analogy I had here, it's like they're smelling blood in the water, but the sharks aren't the journalists. The big tech billionaires are the sharks, and the journalists are the bottom feeders that are eating off the sharks' poop. Family-friendly show. I was going to
like
say
that.
something else.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
the analogy of what's happening
Refuse.
right now. And that's why we're seeing even Mexico propose a law just recently that would open up big tech media companies to fines.
We'll get into Mexico. I think we should stick to America first because
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up, this point right here. Who do you think is responsible for the fact that this all got really, really bad, the censorship and everything, first and foremost?
Adolf Hitler.
I'm not going to blame the victims. I think it's the left, the Democrats, the political establishment. They want the censorship. Progressives cheered it on. And then they started getting censored going, oh no, why am I getting banned? Well, because you empowered them to do this. Interestingly, though, one of the politicians that we have, Ted Cruz, who has been very vocal about censorship and calling it out, said something very interesting. The Blaze reports, Ted Cruz, you can blame the Trump administration for not reining in big tech censorship.
Yes.
Bingo.
I
Thank
could
you.
never get the people in the administration executing the policy to get serious about stopping censorship. Here, Ted Cruz. Wow.
100%.
He's honest. Yeah.
It was an entire 4 years in office, and that we had the power. Republicans had the power. I don't know if I consider myself a Republican anymore, but we didn't do anything. And it was almost the biggest complaint we had because it was just getting worse and worse and worse. I remember every year leading up to the 2020 election, everyone was saying, at least on the right-wing sphere, was saying, that it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it just kept going and no one did
Trump
anything.
and I and many others said Trump will not win if they don't fight back. And in 2018, I said one of my favorite segments is Republicans are too stupid to stop censorship.
And spineless.
Ignorant for sure.
No. Don't say ignorant. Because
they
don't
didn't
say
know-
ignorant. Trump was not ignorant.
He was.
Trump knew,
knew.
and had
He knew.
everyone around him, all of his core support base, screaming at him, hey,
Yep.
please, we're getting obliterated here. His core base of supporters, his personalities that kind of brought him into the situation, into the position where he got to be president, all of those core people were taken out one by one, and they were screaming, help, help, help. And then Donald
Ian.
Trump didn't do nothing. And now we're here today where Twitter just announced, I don't know if you've seen this, Twitter announced that they banned Donald Trump for life.
Yes.
Even,
Even if
if
he
he
runs again.
decides to run for president of the United States.
Ian, I went to the White House with Bill Ottman. I'm saying Bill Ottman for the people who don't, because obviously you know who Bill is. So I went with Bill. He's the CEO of Minds. Ian and Bill are, I'm sure there are other co-founders, but you were two of the co-founders for Minds. Minds, for those that aren't familiar, is a social media platform you can use. It's actually got tons of functionality. It's great. And we went to the social media summit. Why? Because the Trump administration knew this was a problem. I thought it was going to be an actual conversation where I'd be able to go in and see some people in the administration or in government and say, here's what I think the issue is. Now, I actually said, I was asked in an interview, what are you going there for? And I said, I think conservatives too often think they're the only ones being censored. And there are many progressives who are anti-establishment or anti-war who are getting censored too. That's why it's not about just conservatives. It's about allowing people the right to speak before it's too late. Instead, Donald Trump put on what I would call a VIP Trump rally. Now, mind you, Donald Trump is hilarious. It really is. It was a stand-up routine. It was self-deprecating humor. He was talking. It was almost like Jon Stewart level kind of comedy, and I was impressed. And I'm like, well, we're not getting anything done today. Someone asks a question. So they're doing Q&A, and then someone said, will you join to Trump directly? Will you join any other social media platform? And Trump goes, which one? Which one? And that was it. He never did.
He has no idea what he was doing. He doesn't understand technology. He never talked about fusion power. He never talked about. He would say we need to ban Section 230. Like he's a moron. He's not a moron. He was ignorant of technology, unfortunately.
Not really. I mean, he used Twitter as a bully pulpit.
True,
he used Twitter as a way to speak to the people directly away from the mainstream media. So you can't say he was totally ignorant of it. He knew the game. He played the game very well.
He played it very poorly because he was banned.
For himself.
I mean, he just destroyed his legacy.
But then when it came to standing up for the people that supported him, he let's be honest here, he didn't do anything for
didn't
him.
know how.
And it wasn't only just tech. It was
his
also
undoing.
the Second Amendment. He did nothing in favor of the Second Amendment when he had the House. He had the Senate. He could have passed legislation that could have helped the Second Amendment. Didn't do any of that.
Well,
as well.
hold on. That's the establishment Republican Party.
Yeah.
The first 2 years Trump was in office, it was Paul Ryan. The Republicans who are in power are like, here's the way I describe it. When Trump and Bernie led their siege on the establishment tower, Bernie eventually got bought out and joined the ranks, thinking that was the best way in. Trump was just banging on the door, screaming. Once he got in, the establishment Republicans were like, well, we normally don't have to work. All of a sudden, now we got this guy yelling at us, claiming he's in charge, and now we have to do work. I retire, I quit, I'm out, I'm not running for re-election, and they were just bowing out like crazy.
Interesting.
And then the Democrats came in and won control of the House. So the Republicans in 2016, 17, and 18, or I should say 2017 and 18, to the end of 2018, they didn't want to do anything, and they didn't do anything. So Trump didn't have them in his corner. Now that Trump is out and it's back to Biden, the establishment is back in control. They're going to lock the doors. Bernie's going to get the boot. It's not going to happen the way the progressives and the left populists thought it was going to happen. Censorship is going to get extreme to the point where, well, they're already banning progressives.
Yeah.
Tons of progressive YouTube channels got nuked recently. And I'm sitting here going, listen, I'm not going to rag on these people. I'm not going to insult them. I'm not going to mock them and say, told you so. I'm going to say, welcome to the fight. Now, can we please get a serious conversation about why you need to be allowed to speak? Hopefully, now that they're listening, we can have some kind of majority that opposes censorship.
Where would that conversation happen when people are being censored for even?
And you can't
just
go
trying to
outside,
have
you
it?
can't go to the bar, and you can't have events.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
here,
so
YouTube,
depressing.
you can kind of have the conversation on YouTube as long as you don't insult people.
I mean, YouTube is pretty bad in a lot of ways, but we were talking a little bit before the show. It's not as bad as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, it's better than most,
Yeah, like YouTube takes intent into question when it comes to hate speech. Seriously.
Yeah. And Twitter doesn't, Instagram doesn't, none of those do.
I think
there are people that are banned off of everything but YouTube. Like the people that still have their YouTube but are banned off everything else.
I was thinking maybe the problem with free speech and forcing free speech onto these social networks is you want to allow the private networks to maintain control of their terms of service, because it becomes kind of authoritarian when you tell them how to
They
run their
keep
company.
changing their terms of services. I signed a term of services with the social media companies, and they keep changing it.
True.
Yep.
That's not fair, especially with individuals that put their whole livelihoods, their whole business, their whole salary on social media, and then they just change the rules midway.
And they'll
How's
say
that
by
fair?
using
Listen.
the service, you would
Yeah.
you would accept it automatically. And
Yeah.
plus the terms will be like 45 pages long, which is
Seriously.
like almost
Yeah.
impossible for a human to go through.
Why don't we just, I don't know, maybe create something new or treat some of these social networks like a utility in the sense that there's no banning at all. If someone goes out in the middle of the street and screams a death threat at somebody else, yeah, the cops will arrest you for that. You can't do that. You can't go around screaming, I'm going to, do this to you or do that to you. It's illegal. So what if there was just a platform that was that functioned very similarly to if you were walking around outside. You can buy ad space on it. It's the certain ad space on the site is controlled by individuals who bought the rights to run ads on it or whatever. And listen, here's the way I put it. A lot of these advertisers freak out because they're like, I don't want to run ads on Twitter because people on Twitter say mean words. And I'm like, you put up a billboard in like LA, for instance. What's going to stop some crazy racist guy from standing in front of your billboard screaming and then someone
Right.
taking a picture and putting it online?
Right.
You can't escape that. So maybe we need, and honestly, I think it's probably it's kind of, I don't know, maybe a moot point of this as of now, because we've said it so many times. We need a social media platform that is a utility. It doesn't have to be Twitter. And you know what? Trump could have done it. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Trump could have got on Parler, Gab, or Minds. He could have even made his own broadcast platform where you go to Trump's, the wordoftrump.com, and it gave you his personal Twitter feed. He could have even done that. And then people would have followed. Trump could have launched his own network. He could have done everything, and he did nothing.
Man, even if he would have joined just one of them, whether it be Gab, Minds, one of these other ones, it would send such a massive wave of people to join just to be made aware of it, And it's like he never did it. It's messed up.
Would you suggest using the government to make one then, like a socialist type of utility?
No.
I don't think that's socialist. Socialism is owning the means of production.
Yeah, we
Publicly owned with a Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights guarantee. So the reason I like the idea of a public utility social platform is because we have the First Amendment. That means you can go on there and you can say dumb opinions, whether you're left, right, whatever. And there is speech that is illegal. And I think for the most part, there are a lot of free speech absolutists who will say even inciting or threatening is just words. They don't hurt anybody. Most people right now accept directing someone, instructing them, telling them to do it, or actually doing it themselves, like threatening. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Right.
So if, like I said, if you were walking around, New York City screaming, I'm gonna do X to you, I'm gonna do whatever to you, the cops would come and be like, right this way, buddy. That's illegal. That's a threat. New York, they might just scuttle you along and say, get out of here, because they don't want to deal with it. In Chicago, they take it more seriously. In Chicago, if you threaten someone, like yell it, they very well may arrest you, because that's assault according to Chicago law. We could just do that. You got a problem with someone, you don't like their opinions, block. Bye-bye. Now I never see you again.
The
That's
government
simple.
could take Minds code and start it, just spin one up. They could easily do that, publicize the hell out of it. Biden has so much influence, he could just publicize
They don't want to.
and then make it all about law. Make it a
Listen.
legal thing.
The big corporations would have all the power and say on there too, because that's one of the reasons why the government's not doing anything, sitting on their butts as people are losing their rights to free speech right now. And again, you don't need big daddy tech deciding what you can and cannot hear. Leave it to the law. We have libel laws, right? We have laws against threatening other individuals. Leave it to the law. We don't need tech oligarchs, unaccountable people deciding yes or no, you can and cannot say this.
What do you mean that the big techs would have control on that if the
Because
government spun up
again,
on
when you look
Minds?
at the government, right? The government has been essentially bought and sold by the special interest, by the billionaire class, by the multinational industrial industries out there that, of course, do the bidding for them. If you think the U.S. government represents you, you're fooling yourself. They don't. They represent the people that they're friends with, that are super elitist, that are super rich, that cash their pockets with money. Those are the people they serve. So if the government creates something, who you think is going to get the most prominent voice and more control over everything? It's going to be them, obviously.
What organization would we use to enforce like free speech laws then, if not the government?
It's called free speech. You don't need to enforce free speech, Ian. Again, if you have local jurisdictions like in Chicago, like in New York, they usually handle the situation themselves. So if you have a jurisdiction and if you have someone that slandered you or libeled you, deal it through that system. That's just the simple way of doing it. Decentralization, not centralization, is the answer.
I'd like to show you guys a study, just in response to what Luke was saying, from 2014. I will also stress there are rebuttals to this that are more modern. But this is from the BBC, April 2014 study. U.S. is an oligarchy, not a democracy. And the BBC reports, the U.S. is dominated by a rich and powerful elite. So concludes a recent study by Princeton University professor Martin Gilens and Northwestern University professor Benjamin Page. This is not news, you say. Perhaps the two professors have conducted exhaustive research to try and present data-driven support for this conclusion. Here's how they explain it. Multivariate analysis indicates that economic elites and organized groups representing business interests have substantial independent impacts on U.S. government policy, while average citizens and mass-based interest groups have little or no independent influence. In English, the wealthy few move policy, while the average American has little power. They go on to say that they drew this conclusion by reviewing answers to 1,779 survey questions asked between 1981 and 2002 on public policy issues. They say, quote, a proposed policy change with low support among economically elite Americans, 1 out of 5 in favor, is adopted only about 18% of the time. They write, while a proposed change with high support, 4 out of 5, is adopted about 45% of the time. On the other hand, when a majority of citizens disagrees with economic elites and or with organized interests, they generally lose. Moreover, because of the strong status quo bias built into the U.S. political system, even when fairly large majorities of Americans favor policy change, they generally do not get it. They conclude, Americans do enjoy many features central to democratic governance, such as regular elections, freedom of speech, well, at the time, I suppose, and association and freedom of speech and association, and a widespread, if still contested, franchise. But we believe that if policy making is dominated by powerful business organizations and a small number of affluent Americans, then America's claim to being a democracy, a democratic society, are seriously threatened. And I'll just stress, this study made it very obvious what was going to happen next. They don't want large, powerful majorities forming. It's hard to defeat. Now, the study mentioned that if a large majority says we want this policy, they still tend to lose. But that still means the powerful elites have to fight against these ideas. Occupy Wall Street was very popular. They found a way to fracture it using identity politics. Well, take away free speech, you don't got to deal with it ever again. So they're monopolizing the platforms with which we communicate, while the governments have stopped us from communicating in person. There we go.
If we don't use the government to enforce free speech on the internet, who else will?
What do you mean? We should. The government should.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about making a government social network. I kind of want to delve into Luke's point earlier about decentralizing it. But
they won't, because they helped create these monopolies that they're tied into in such ways that they will never uncouple.
Let me just repeat. The point of this study, Ian, to read to you, is that the government does what their lobbyist corporate interests tell them to do.
That's always been the case with the U.S.
Right. And so why would they do anything different? Twitter is going to say, hey, whoa, what are you doing there? Oh, I'm sorry, boss.
Well, I mean, I don't want to just say, I guess the U.S. government was a militaristic, corrupt system from the beginning. You know,
it wasn't.
A genocidal, yeah, it was. It was a genocidal military takeover of the Native American population.
That's very complicated.
They made a government that was ruled by the powerful elite, these landowners, and they gave very little power to the masses.
Bro, you're taking hundreds of years of colonial history and condensing it into like 20.
When they made the government, it was like, we pick who the senators are. When the United States was formed.
That's
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually a mix. It was modeled very similarly off of the UK, where you have the people's representation, and then you have the better men.
Yeah, the senators and the Republicans
who are appointed. But that actually was a better system. You know why? Because you would vote for your local representatives. You'd vote at the state level. And then they would appoint federal representatives to go to senators, not Congress people. So now, because we shifted senatorial elections to the public, people don't care about voting locally anymore. So now their states are, in disrepair. And what's crazy is there's this push now from some Trump supporters. Apparently, there's like precinct level Republican positions that are half empty across the country that have powerful control over how the GOP nominates people, allocates resources. and they're missing because people aren't running and they don't know. There's huge gaps in how the GOP is supposed to be running. So because of that, because people have ignored local politics, it's created vulnerabilities that can now be exploited by Trump supporters. You need to pay attention to your local politics. Most people don't even know who their state senators are, who their state reps are, who their congressperson even is.
I feel like it's changed a bit, though, with the pandemic in 2020. I've been way more aware of local politics than ever just because of the pandemic and the lockdowns. And you start seeing like, oh, Florida is back to real life and I'm not. I can't even leave my house. Wow. And then it all comes down to local politics.
Yep. Whether or not your state is going to say yes or no. Apparently, Florida is, they've been saying, do your thing. And then we've seen the collective outrage from the media and the left.
So you mentioned making a utility, an internet website that was a utility social network. You mentioned decentralizing it, and you mentioned local politics. So if we made like an internet social network that was decentralized and like LA had its own, the only problem is that wouldn't work to me because when you use social networking, you don't want to just only talk to people in your city. Right. You want like global connectivity.
Maybe,
so who oversees it?
Well, there's several solutions, and maybe there have been attempts to pass these laws to stop censorship at the state level. I think that's the key. I think, Florida might actually pull this off because DeSantis recently talked about, they're proposing this bill that would fine big tech companies for violating a set of rules. There you go. We don't need to rely on Congress or the Senate. Just have your state do it because they can do it very easily. Yes. If you're in Arizona or Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania and you've got a Republican-controlled legislature, what's to stop them from passing this law? Make them do it. Call them up, tell them what you want, tell them what you're willing to vote for. Do that phone campaign, and if they don't listen, vote for somebody else.
I love DeSantis. I hope he runs for president.
Seriously.
He might. He's really standing up.
What's he doing?
Well, he's opened up Florida.
He's opened up Florida, and I was there over Christmas break. I was in Miami, and it was amazing. It was real life again. Living in LA, it's like it's not. But I guess LA is real life too. This lockdown is real life. So.
Yeah, but Newsom will shut off your water. But they're gonna recall that guy, huh? Like they got
I think they just got enough signatures, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You signed, Blaire.
I did.
Goodbye.
I signed months ago.
Yes.
Months ago.
What does that mean? Is he out of office officially now or something?
No. I think there's a certain amount of signatures that needs to be had, and then we can vote on it as a state. So I don't know if there's a step before that or what, but I think we can vote on it soon.
It's like a ballot initiative, just like they did with marijuana and other laws. It's decided by popular vote rather than just local government. That's how Switzerland is also run.
Yes. Well, let's dive into this story actually and see what's going on with your awful state of California,
Yes.
Blaire. I hate California. Sorry, I lived there.
It's beautiful, but it's so ugly.
Right.
Yes.
It's ugly on a personality level.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, the state had a lot of plastic surgery.
Yes.
Yes. It's unfortunate, man.
I mean,
Well, we have this story from 538. California's Gavin Newsom will likely face a recall election, but he'll probably survive it. Now,
Who wrote that?
I hope.
538.
Sounds like propaganda.
Well,
Right.
I know. I was going to say that because 538 failed miserably in the 2020
Yes.
election and the 2016 election, and they were so mad about it.
What was that one?
Well, all the polls were historically off by what was it? What was the average? Like 7
So
points?
bad. 7
It was
points, yeah.
worse in 2020 than it was in 2016. My
Right.
favorite thing about the polls was the New York Times had safe Democrat, lean Democrat, toss up, lean Republican, safe Republican, and the whole thing skewed Republican. So the lean Democrat all went Republican, and then the safe Democrat actually some seats flipped Republican.
Yikes.
That's why they were able to regain a lot of the House. They were so wrong. So now it is true. Let me read a little bit of the story just to give you guys context. They say, California Governor Gavin Newsom has been in office for just 2 years, but there have already been 5 failed attempts to force a statewide recall election on whether to remove him from office. That itself is not unusual. California has some of the most permissive recall requirements in the country. But what is unusual is that the 6th attempt, which is currently underway, appears to be gaining some serious traction. If it makes the ballot, the election would be just the 4th gubernatorial recall election in all of American history. And 2 of the previous 3 governors to face recalls ended up going down in defeat, including California's in 2003, when in the midst of a statewide fiscal crisis, 55% of voters opted to recall Democrat Gray Davis and elected Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger in his place.
Right,
That seems like a bad omen for Newsom, until you consider for special circumstances of this recall and the political evolution of California. Well, I'm not interested in their overall assessment. The point is, it's everyone else has lost, and It's over 1.5 million signatures now to get
Yes.
rid of Newsom.
Yeah.
So he could be gone.
I mean, just what it shows is how angry people are. I mean, I don't think you can look at what's happening in California, which is we are the most locked down place. LA specifically is the most locked down, and yet we're the worst of the cases. There was a story that the air that people in LA were breathing was polluted with from the, what's it called when they burn people, the crematorium?
Crematoriums?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
That the air was so polluted because people were dying at such a frequent rate. But what's so crazy is that, obviously there is a growing movement of people who are angry about the leadership in California, but there are still so many people there that think it's like he's doing a great job simply because he's Democrat. And they look at Florida and they look at DeSantis and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're fully open. That's so messed up. And it's like, but they're not worse off than us. So what is the logic? At this point, if you support lockdowns and the way that they've been imposed, I think there's something seriously wrong with you.
It's a cult.
It really is.
When they complain about Trump supporters and they're like, I see these posts on Facebook all the time. They're like, Trump supporters, you're in a cult. I'm like,
Okay.
I know the people they're referring to. They're referring to the Q people who believe this crazy nonsense. I understand why they're saying that. My response to them is usually like, I hear you. Do you think you're in a cult? You don't? Have you considered maybe y'all are crazy?
Right.
The right and these really zealous Trump supporters don't have cultural power in the cultural institutions. And they had very limited political power with Trump as president. Trump was struggling in a lot of ways to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. He was able to pull off a lot, don't get me wrong. Right now, the Democrats control every cultural institution and every branch of government. Well, except for the Supreme Court, but we'll see what happens. They're fairly pro-establishment. We'll see how they end up ruling.
And look where we're at. Everyone's still begging for scraps from the government after almost a year in a pandemic where people can't afford food, rent to survive. And yet, for some reason, some people still just are so much more comfortable with Democratic leadership, and I don't get it.
It's a cult. So I'm not saying everybody who voted for a Democrat is a cult. That's ridiculous. Every Trump supporter wasn't some zealous conspiracy theorist. It's just that in the cultural institutions, you have substantially more cult-like Democrat people who just would absolutely watch the whole country burn down if it meant they were owning the cons. You have a similar element among right-wingers for sure, but they don't have any power. They're not. That's why I've never really cared to be like, oh, so that that Q guy, he said something dumb on Twitter. I don't care. He doesn't control the entirety of the party. He doesn't control Hollywood or TV shows or digital marketing, and he's not controlling a branch of government. Yeah. Now it's all Democrats.
It's the liberal economic order. They started it. The British and the Americans started it after World War II to basically control the world with military. So there's this military, propaganda effort that's controlled by this liberal force, the economic
But I don't
order.
think liberal makes sense because
actually the specific term is liberal economic order. It's
right. I know, but I mean
they call themselves liberal.
Republicans and Democrats are doing the same thing. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are working towards the same goal. I think the Republicans are just like a caricature of a villain where they do literally nothing but obstruct in certain ways to make Democrats angry and never actually fight for causes that the people on the right actually want.
Right.
So when Trump came around and said, I'm going to fight for you, they were like, finally, somebody. And then Trump did some things and ultimately didn't get a lot through because he was obstructed at every turn. Even his own administration. Apparently, the reason Trump didn't get on Parler or Gab was because of Jared Kushner, who was like, don't do it. Don't go on. Don't do it. Okay, well, now he's gone. Now he can't say anything.
Right.
So we've got, in this country, Democrats in states like California, in places like New York, pushing policies and winning elections while people suffer and beg for scraps, like you were mentioning. Yeah. And the reason why I say it's a cult is because no matter what happens, they will not let it go. I had a friend. Sent them the Time magazine. You see the Time magazine article about the shadow campaign, Blaire?
Yeah.
I'm like, how much more explicit could they make it?
Right.
When they said a shadow campaign, a conspiracy in the background by an elite cabal of powerful individuals, started in fall of 2019, mind you, which means they were doing it to Bernie Sanders to ensure the proper outcome. And my friend was like, oh, but they were just fortifying the election. And I said, you realize the Democratic primary didn't conclude until 2020, which means they were doing it to Bernie Sanders. And then all of a sudden they were like, yeah. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Did you notice? It wasn't about Trump. Trump was a part of it. It's about the people getting an actual candidate who represented them. Unfortunately, Bernie sold out. He wants to be a millionaire,
That's why I feel so disaffected between the left versus right thing now. At this point, at some point, if you don't start seeing that it's the elites versus the people, then I don't really know what's wrong with you, especially the last year. The last year has revealed so much about just the way the system works, the ways in which it's broken, the ways in which it doesn't just not serve the people, but it actively crushes the people, but you have so many people that still vote for that same system. And what's really scary is that now that Biden's in power, we talked about this earlier, now it's back to sort of the Obama era of like just complete like not even caring about politics at all.
What's the right word? Like blind ignorance and obedience combined, like
compliance.
Devotion.
Yes.
But it's
not even devotion. It's because they don't actually like Biden.
Good point.
No one likes Biden.
But it's not even compliance. It's like it's like
subservience.
Complacency. Complacency.
maybe.
Obsession.
No, hold on. But it's like a willful disregard of information.
Yes.
And willful ignorance to allow Biden to do whatever he wants and turn away and not pay attention anymore.
I think the word is witness, a blind witness.
Because he's a Democrat, so nothing he does is going to be bad, and everything anyone who's Republican does is bad.
I know. You know what I loved about Obama was when he ran and anti-war and all that stuff, and I voted for him. I was all excited. And then I think it was January 23rd of 2009. I could be getting the day wrong, like only a few days after inauguration. He ordered a drone strike on a village of women and children, killing civilians. And I was just like, I felt like my heart sink. Like he was supposed to say no. He was supposed to say no. And then I would go to my friends, and all of a sudden, all these anti-war activists were just all of a sudden like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care. We're going to go get pizza at the bar and just have a drink. And
it's the same thing now. The war drums are starting to beat up again with Biden. And it's like, where is everyone that cares? No one. Okay, no one. I guess no one.
It's like the dominoes are falling down.
Yeah.
And we're watching it happen, and we can't do anything to stop it. It's just like the whole thing's gone.
Well, even if people did rise up or did voice their disgust, you wouldn't know about it because your algorithm is curated. Your timeline is carefully selected to make sure that you see and have a perception that these elite billionaires want you to see. And Blaire, you made a very good point. It's something that I've been screaming about for years now, endlessly. I've been ridiculed and attacked for it, but it's not left versus right. It's you versus the secret club of billionaires. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And these billionaires, they're getting their way. They're getting their power. They're getting their money more than they ever did before because of these lockdowns. Yeah. And then we have individuals like Bill Gates that, by the way, just recently became the largest farmland owner in all of the United States.
Seriously.
Lecturing us about how we need to lock down more, congratulating China about doing a great job, but also, just as of today, became the biggest shareholder in the Canadian National Railroad.
What?
A major railroad company that doesn't just provide transportation services for all of Canada, but also along the Mississippi from the north to the south of the United States. And literally, he's on his way from almost controlling the entire food supply chain from farm to table. And Bill Gates is buying up more assets, buying up more companies, buying up more land than ever before.
Dude, who would have thought Bill Gates would be the reincarnation of Alexander the Great? Conquering large swaths of territory around the world.
Largest shareholder of the Canadian National Railroad.
Could you imagine? Sorry, just like I'm thinking about the legends of like Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great riding in on horseback and conquering land. And now we have this great warlord conqueror, and it's Bill Gates saying, well, I recently purchased
in a sweater vest.
Right.
To add insult to injury. Yeah. I mean, this man was described as a ruthless businessman who changed his ways, was going to donate all of his money to charity, more than doubled his money, by the way. But he's the one that all the mainstream media guys are going for the expert advice about what to do next. Right. He also pushed the goalpost because a couple months ago he said that these lockdowns, COVID's going to be with us until 2021. He changed his stance. Now he's saying 2022. And of course, who benefits off of these lockdowns? Billionaires like him.
You know what gets me is that, like, I feel like the left is always talking about class consciousness. And it's like, I'm down to have that conversation. But it's like, so y'all support these lockdowns and you don't see how the rich is getting richer and you're getting poorer.
I just saw an article, the top 100 billionaires, most wealthy, their wealth has increased by 40% since the lockdown commenced.
Absolutely. You know what's funny is, we did mention this before, but I love this moment where Tucker Carlson was doing his handoff with Sean Hannity, and Tucker was talking about how these massive corporations' value is skyrocketing amid this lockdown. basically saying how it's the largest transfer of wealth from the working class to the wealthy in the history of humanity. And then when he's doing the handoff, Hannity goes, if a business provides a service and makes money, well, then good for them. They're allowed to do it.
Yeah,
and
I
Tucker's
saw that.
response was the Tucker face where he's like, looking like, huh? This is like,
Labrador.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Labrador, like, what? I love that interaction.
Yeah.
How is it that Tucker Carlson had this evolution on populism and, the elites versus the people? And it's basically him. The rest of cable TV and everybody are still very much pro-establishment.
Well, that's why they're trying to cancel him so much.
Right.
Yeah,
And
today especially.
the stuff that he talks about is very important. He talks about it. I don't always agree with him, but he does it from an honest perspective. He does it from an honest way. And he points out how it's not private enterprise. These are not businesses engaging in the free market. These are quasi-extensions of the government working with government hand in hand, pushing and making sure the game is rigged against everyone else so they get their way. And they've been getting their way nonstop.
And it's so sad how no one thinks to take it that far in their mind when they're looking around at them and they're seeing all of their fellow citizens living like dogs on their knees. I almost swore. And it's so frustrating how they use these tools of pitting us against each other. And so before anyone would start to think about how maybe all of this is a ploy to crush the poor and make the rich richer, they'll look at someone with the mask slightly beneath their nose in a grocery store and have a psychotic meltdown
Oh
and
my
convince themselves that one individual who's not wearing the mask perfectly to how they think it should go is the reason why we're in this mess. I see it all the time.
It's a cult, and they sell this so that
They totally do.
this is the space helmet that I bought, and
Beautiful.
like I want to be. I don't like being mean to people. Like the guy who made this seems like a nice guy. It's a really interesting idea, but I swear to God, if you're gonna be wearing this space helmet because of this strange cult-like behavior around masks, we got problems, man. You know what? I am partly grateful to everything that's happened over the past year, I suppose, in at least one way. It's not always bad. It's kind of, it's almost like, how when they're doing these medical procedures to for cancer, they'll inject your bloodstream with dye, or they'll make you drink it, right? Is that what they do? They'll
Yeah.
make you
Yes,
drink
that
dye.
sounds right.
Then they can take the scanning machine, whatever it is,
Yes.
and see all your veins light up.
Yeah.
They basically did that with dumb people. So now when you see people walking around with space helmets and 4 masks, you're like, okay, this person doesn't think critically. They
Right.
don't do any investigation.
Thank you.
I understand wearing a mask. The logic is very, very simple, so I have no problem wearing it. I do think it's absurd when they're like, wear a mask in your own home. I'm like,
No.
what? Wear a mask in your own home and between bites. It's like, okay, you got to chill there a minute.
Or
buddy.
like in California, they were telling you, literally, take a bite, put your mask back on when you're in the
What?
restaurant.
And Gavin Newsom's
Yeah.
not doing a mask
Yeah.
at all.
That's not
and
just
people
California
just
now,
do it.
by the way. I was on a plane. I've had 2 connecting flights here, and on both of those planes, over the flight attendant speaker, they were saying, even when you're chewing, you have to put it up when you chew,
What?
and then swallow, take it off, take a bite, chew with it on. It's crazy.
This is, of course, as the CDC just ruled recently that 2 masks are recommended after Fauci, a couple days ago, said there's no evidence supporting that. Now Fauci again flip-flops saying, yes, actually now wear 2 masks. When in the beginning he said don't wear any masks at all. Again, total constant flip-flopping. And you call them out. You call these lying...
You have it upside down.
Family-friendly show. I know.
Do you want a second one?
We have
It-
2 of them.
So
Fit 2
many.
of them on?
It looks like the thing you take a crap in at the hospital.
A bedpan.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah,
like a
it
bedpan.
does.
The funny thing about it is what if you're wearing this and you sneeze?
Yeah,
That's
what
what everyone
happens?
says. You just spray the whole plastic.
Gross.
Oh.
Have you ever seen a person sneeze in their mask? I've seen it a couple times in
Oh,
public.
do you ever-
It's so gross.
Do you see Joe Biden take his mask off to cough in his hand and then put the mask back on? Yeah, he did it. It's
That's
great.
hilarious.
Yeah, but no, we're actually here right now. We have this from the NPR. CDC says double masking offers more protection against the coronavirus. What is wrong with people?
Obviously, but what percent? 6% more?
It is. Yeah, it's like 6%.
Then what? It's diminishing returns. At what point are you going to say enough? Because a third mask will give you another 0.7% increase.
Apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but I was reading an article about this, and they said a study found that after 7 masks, it starts becoming detrimental.
7.
Can't breathe. Yeah.
Yes.
7.
Can we stop pretending like we can breathe in the mask? That's my whole
Yeah,
thing. It's like, why is
exactly.
everyone lying? Because if I walk even more than 3 feet in a mask, I'm hyperventilating. I do have asthma as well. I know everyone gets so mad when you say that, but I can't breathe in a mask.
Well, doesn't that mean you're exempt and you don't got to wear it?
I don't think so. I don't think asthma is an
Really?
exemption. But I mean, I don't want to paint a wrong impression of me. I will wear a mask, especially in a public business, because at the end of the day, I just won't go in the business if I don't want to wear a mask. I comply with that kind of stuff.
Well,
but it gets to a different level when it's like you're outside walking your dog and you post a Snapchat and all the replies are like, why are you wearing a curse word mask? Like it's like,
you're killing grandma.
it's like no one's near me. I'm with my dog. And I remember at the start of the pandemic, I had this experience. I tweeted about it where a cop literally approached me to tell me to put a mask on, and he broke the 6 feet and he didn't have a mask on.
That's why I'm going to unironically wear this.
You might as well.
And no, here's what I'm going to do.
it.
The reason I bought 2 of them. I bought them for a reason. They're silly and they're hilarious.
They're great.
But also, it gives me the moral authority to shame everyone around me.
Right. You have a super mask.
And what's funny is they're not going to know what I'm saying because you can barely talk in these
They
things.
can't hear you.
But I'll also purposefully muffle my voice. So I'm looking at them going, and they're going to be like, I don't know why you're yelling at me. And then I'll take it off and go, you're only wearing a cloth mask. You're killing grandma. Buy your plastic space helmet now. Otherwise, you evil fascist.
That's what they all sound like to me anyway. It's just muffled like
The teacher from Charlie Brown.
Yeah, basically. In LA, there's this area where I go hiking all the time called Runyon Canyon.
Yeah, I love
And it's outdoors. No one has to get anywhere near you. You're literally on a mountain. Okay. And the city has what I call green jackets, which is guys in green jackets at the entrance that will yell at you to put a mask on.
What?
And I just I call them green jackets. I just walk
Ew.
past them. They'll literally yell stuff and I'll just walk past. Maybe I'll wave.
Okay.
Like, I just don't care. It's like, I'm not going to wear one outside when I'm exercising and there's already dust coming up from, it's like, no.
You need that oxygen.
I was on.
real.
I was in a forest a few months ago, literally in the forest. Okay, and I saw it's a path. There's like a path, right? And so people are riding bikes, people wearing masks, and I'm like, dude,
Right.
You not only are nowhere near any humans, you are so far from humans, you risk dying if you make a wrong turn. I think you're okay to not wear. Look, I understand stores. I understand you go to a business. But I'll tell you, if you're in the woods, I think you're okay.
My favorite, what I personally saw in New Hampshire, was someone riding a motorcycle without a helmet, but with a mask.
Oh
And when you have individuals like that,
Super
that's
safe.
when I knew. That's seeing that I'm like, we're screwed. But the first realization with this whole coronavirus, when I knew we were screwed, was when the government was telling everyone, "Don't wear a mask. It's fine. Don't get them." And then when they told everyone, "No, I will actually wear a mask," and there wasn't any repercussions, there wasn't any kind of backlash, I knew we were in trouble. So this is this is the important thing here. The government could lie to you as much as they want. But if you lie to the government in the United Kingdom, they just put in new security laws that you will face 10 years in jail if you lie to the government about your whereabouts, a $10,000 fine for leaving your quarantine. And if you're entering the United Kingdom, you now have to buy a quarantine package that is $2,400, which includes a 10-day hotel
What if you
stay
can't?
and COVID tests. So you have to pay this out of pocket if you want to visit the United Kingdom.
You know, honestly,
Wow.
I will say one thing. Double masking, the way they describe it, makes sense for one simple reason. If you're going to wear a mask, and I do, like we go to the restaurant, we just went out, we go shopping, you wear a mask when you go in, and I understand the point. You know, people don't want to get sick. Those things get really nasty. People don't wash their masks.
True.
So they're wearing them all day, every day for months, and it's becoming grimy and infested. They're saying wear a disposable mask and then put your other mask over it. I wonder if the real issue is they're like, dude, these people are walking around with fungus rags on their faces.
Right.
Maybe that we should tell them to put a disposable underneath it, because now they do. And it's like, if you're not going to wear your mask, that I kind of get.
Yeah, I've even gotten to the point where sometimes it's like if I have to go somewhere, I'll just throw one on and like it's dirty and I know it's dirty and I take the L and it's disgusting.
And their masks on the ground. And
It really is bad for you. It's like wearing dirty bandages.
I did something
Yeah.
really bad one time.
Oh, no.
I had to go into a Target and it was an emergency. Like I had to go in the Target, okay?
Target, yes.
I was in the parking garage. I dropped my mask on the ground in the parking garage.
Oh, no.
Put it on my face and then I tasted the ground of the parking garage. It was disgusting.
I think
Yeah,
we
that's
got
typhus.
I think we got to mandate these dome helmets.
Yes.
You gotta-
Well, this is the thing. If the masks work so well, why haven't they worked?
No, I disagree
You know-
with that one though. I disagree.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I've heard people say it. If the masks work so well, why aren't they working? Well, we have no metric by which to gauge.
Well,
it.
we saw some statistics, and we see where there's mask mandates implemented, where they're not implemented, and we saw ever since the beginning of the mask mandates, a lot of the counties and districts that did implement the mandates, their numbers went up. A lot of places like Florida, this is the comparative that happened because NBC News launched an attack on a grocery store in Florida. And then it was a vicious attack. They were like, look at these grandmas. They're not wearing any masks. They're in the supermarket. They're horrible human beings. A whole huge segment on the Today Show shaming them. And then someone, I forgot his name. He works for for an independent media organization. And he put out a sign saying, look at the number of cases here in this particular county in Florida compared to, of course, Los Angeles. In the Los Angeles county, I forgot which one, but also similar populations. And then he was like, look at the numbers. Mask mandate here, no mask mandate here. The county in California, huge spikes. Florida, leveled out. Could be a correlation. It's a different place.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not exact, but it might be worth investigating. That's all I'm saying.
But isn't there really high compliance statistics with masks too? Aren't most people in general wearing
Majority
their
of people
masks?
are wearing masks.
You'd have to have a group of like 100 people not wear masks and another group of 100 wear masks in the exact same place, going to the exact same businesses, and then track it to see if there's we haven't done that.
And you got to know what they had before they got selected. Were they clean? Were they exposed?
Food they're eating, exercise, all that stuff's got to be controlled for. So New York, LA, Florida, all very different places.
Yes, but we have to understand.
I think it's fair to be critical. Don't get me wrong.
We should be critical because there is some data actually showing that masks actually do help with influenzas, especially in Asian countries, especially with how they've been utilized and used. But this is not the flu. This is something else. This is something where we had a 117-year-old nun, one of the oldest people in the world, have this, not even know she had it, while other people are getting absolutely devastated wrecked by this.
There's fingers falling off.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
what?
Yeah. There's a story that came out. A woman's fingers fell off.
See, we don't know.
It was so some people remember that basketball player who collapsed on the court. Mm-hmm. He's like he recovered from COVID, and then one day he was playing, and then he just fell down. It does impact people like that.
This is the thing.
It affects their circulation.
I've talked to a lot of doctors and nurses. A lot of them don't know what's going on. They're so confused. They're so perplexed. I mean, I see you nodding your head there, Lydia,
it's confusing.
because you're in this profession.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on here. So implementing these hard rules and stopping any discourse from happening is hurting us.
I've had friends that died of cancer, officially of cancer. But what happened was they got diagnosed. They went into the hospital, started getting these crazy chemical things to try and kill stuff. We're going to kill it. We're going to find it and kill a bunch of other stuff in your body while we do it.
Yep.
Collateral damage. And their body started getting devastated, and then they died.
That's
and they
what
said,
chemo does.
They died from cancer. They died from chemo.
Right.
And they call it cancer death.
Yes, but it's not a secret that when people get cancer, they're on the track to die, and chemo can actually kill them.
That's the theory.
It could also save them.
That's the theory. But these people get the chemo, and it's so hard on the body that they end up dying but they call it a cancer death. So it's a similar thing with COVID. Yeah, people's fingers are falling off, but that doesn't mean that COVID made their fingers fall off.
But in this story, that's literally the story.
That's how the story was written.
And
let's go into the story then. I'd love to hear about it.
Come on,
that's
man.
crazy. No, I'm serious actually.
No,
that sounds crazy. Fingers? Come on.
Yeah. Because you know what COVID toes is?
No.
When people get bad circulation from COVID, then the extremities, your fingers and your toes, start.
But are they obese?
I don't. I think this person was
does
elderly,
that.
actually.
Yeah,
the point is, we've not everybody's affected the same way, and it has been. I think to Luke's point about people being scared or confused, it's new. We've not experienced it, and it seems to be very serious, and people are kind of freaked out about it.
That's true.
So I say this: the masks to me makes total sense. Now when they say 2 masks, I'm like, it's like a 6% increase according to these studies. Look, man, wearing a mask at a store makes sense in public places, but confining people to their homes is clearly the data has shown that doesn't work because people then spread it to their family members. So letting people go outside. So this is one of the reasons why they're starting to reopen. Is like even in California, they realized, well, that may be Newsom panicking because they're going to recall him. But they realized when people go outside, these businesses can enforce social distancing and mask wearing. When people are going inside, they'll go out and interact publicly at stores or Walmart and then bring it back and infect their whole families.
Yes.
And also, it's like you're making laws and mandates that go against fundamental aspects of human nature. Like humans need community. They need to be around each other. They need God forbid, sunshine every once in a while. So what you're doing is you're creating an underground, and I'll talk about this. Maybe people don't know this. In LA, there is such a huge underground party scene right now, especially in the LGBT community. Warehouses in LA just full of people partying. These are the same people that are online, that are super lived out about COVID and super anal about it. But that's what's happening is the lockdowns are so harsh that it's causing the opposite effect. So instead of going to an outdoor restaurant where the tables are 6 feet and you wear a mask when you walk to your table, whatever, people are like, okay, I can't even do that, but I need to be around people. They end up going to a party.
You know what's funny is every high school party is illegal, right? Every teenager under the age of 21 partying and getting drunk, they know what happens when the cops show up. They're like, cheese it, and everyone's running random directions, and like the cops are coming in. You're like, oh no, out the back door. So now all they're doing is the same thing. It's like so now they're 24 and they're doing it, but they're accustomed to this. I mean, I don't know about most of you listening, but when I was a teenager, we would show up to some random house party. You're in the kitchen, you got a 40, a King Cobra, whatever, costs you $1. And then all of a sudden you hear like someone runs in like, dude, cops are pulling up, and then everyone runs.
And you're
for
hopping the fence to get out.
That's
and
right.
Because you can't be drinking.
Yep.
And then like the person who owns it, the cops yell at them, they'll get a ticket or something. So now what's happening? I've heard stories. I was in New Jersey. These women were having a warehouse party, and they were serving food and gambling. Yes. So now it's like, not only are they having this close quarters, there's no food sanitation, there's no regulation, and they're gambling along with it because prohibition doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Lockdowns don't work. It's basically prohibition of life. It's like, don't live your life.
They found COVID in ice cream in China. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly. We also have to understand a lot of the data that we're getting from these, quote, experts and medical professionals flip-flops every week. So we don't know if they're telling the truth or not because they send out so many mixed messages. They send out things saying no airborne transmission. Now there is airborne transmission. We don't know what's going on here, and the medical community is left stunned. And again, as you said, prohibition never works, and it never has worked. With nothing the government tries to stop. And there have even been some scientific studies showing that if you make people coalesce only in Walmart, only in Target, that's going to actually spread the virus more if people are only told to go to one place and they only go to that one place.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's data suggesting that. Again, a lot of uncertainties. We don't know what's going on.
I'll tell you, the biggest issue I have with this is the transfer of wealth. So I understand, centralizing Walmart, Target, and everything. People are going to get sick. The problem is they just did $1.9 trillion in stimulus, so they're going to give people $1,400, I guess. It's going to be means tested. That money's going to go to Walmart. That money's going to go to Amazon. It's going to go to Target. It's not going to go to mom and pops, barber shop, mom and pops, computer repair, whatever. Small business has been gutted and eviscerated. And I think if you look at everything they're doing, why charge someone $2,000 for this, quarantine specialty kit? I'll tell you one thing. 2.4 thousand. I can only tell you the simple solution. They're trying to prevent COVID. I can say one of the side effects of everything they're doing, stopping people from traveling around the world or locally, stopping people from buying things, stopping people from going out and servicing bars and restaurants, ultimately reducing the amount that is being consumed, reducing the amount of carbon emissions. And the New York Times wrote this story a while ago. The Earth is healing because of the lockdown. That was early on when it was 15 days to slow the spread. We're still slowing the spread a year later, I suppose. But it seems like whether it's intended or not, they can say it's for all these things. The one thing that's really happening is a great reset.
Yep. And it's blatant too, which blows my mind when people, again, get so caught up in the ways that we've been pit against each other. It's like, we're in this because this one person I know doesn't like to wear a mask. We're in this because you're being selfish and you went to a party because you were depressed for 6 months in your apartment and you just had to see someone. No, like, your neighbor is not the enemy at all.
Well, according to Disney, I guess it is, because they got mad when Gina Carano called that out.
Right, and maybe your neighbor is your enemy if they, plow your snow or whatever. But
right, yeah, seriously.
For those that don't know the context, some LA Times columnist was freaking out because her Trump-supporting neighbors politely plowed her driveway. Psycho. It's the end of the world, my friends.
Wow.
Yeah. It's modern politics is freaking.
I'm like
it's
muting
sad.
myself right now because of the stuff that I want to say I can't say on YouTube.
Well, we'll save it for the members only segments.
That's right.
Where we're more free to say.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. That's the reality.
It's all about COVID.
This is there's a simple breakdown for people who they always get mad when they're like, why won't you guys say what you need to say? I'll make it simple. We can sacrifice the 99 things we say to you every night for one thing we can say on timcast.com.
It's not even that I want to
Yeah.
say claims about what I think about if it's real or if it's not. I want to postulate that maybe it's, there's something wrong here. And
Just
even
speak freely.
postulating
Yeah.
is like treading on dangerous water when it comes to
It's a great
Do you see
defying
how
the World
sick
Health
that is
Organization.
that we can't just speak freely? I've stopped myself from saying several things on here. And this is, in a sphere of the internet that is the most open about this kind of thing. And yet we still can't say exactly what we feel. When I'm, drunk with my friends on my balcony, really talking about this stuff, I'm not saying the stuff I'm saying here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And
so you're lying about everything.
Sure.
well,
You're wearing a mask.
I'm dulling it down. I'm wearing a mask.
Turn it down a little.
Right.
Say that again.
So we'll just go ham with it.
Well, I'm
on
wearing
timcast.com.
2 masks.
Let's just
I'm
go
excited.
ham.
Well, I'll tell you this. There's limits. I mean, this whole show we've been talking about censorship and repression of speech and everything like that. And so this is the conversation I've had with a lot of people going back several years, when there's like a certain name I can't say, and people are like, stop being weak and just say the name, and I'm like, and then I will never be able to speak to you about anything. And there's a lot of important things to talk about. So we be careful about some things, and that's why I was like, we got to start our own platform that if we get banned on here, at least we can say whatever we want on like a private website. Fortunately, I should say there's good news and bad news. The good news is the platform exists. We can go at timcast.com and say the stuff, but still the audience there is a microscopic fraction
Right.
of the people who watch this show.
Of course.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we have to tiptoe. Meanwhile, the mainstream media gets to say whatever they want.
Whatever.
They get to whatever they want, no accountability. They get to lie to you. They get to tell you there's weapons of mass destruction. They get to tell you not to wear masks, then to wear masks. They get to flip-flop and lie and protect the special interest, work for powers that be, and yet they don't get fact-checked. And yet they don't get corrected. Yet they don't face any ramifications, any consequences for anything that they do. They get to eat human brain.
Reza Aslan
My
Yeah.
goodness.
literally
Poor
ate
man.
human brain on TV.
It's true.
Did you know that?
Yep.
No, I thought you were making some kind
No.
of
No,
like,
no,
joke.
a
No.
CNN host. I
It's
think he
true.
went. We talked about before. He
The
went
videos
nuts.
on YouTube.
How did he get hold of a human brain?
It was a sect of these
It's
like Hindu zealots, and he was, I guess, he was like sitting down. It was a show about religions, and they
Okay.
took a piece of brain and they cooked it, they charred it, and then gave it to him, and he ate it.
But where did the brain come from? Like, did
human.
they kill someone?
I don't know, a cadaver
Somebody
maybe.
died, yeah.
And he literally ate it on TV, and I think the dude went nuts. I think it made him not. I think.
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. The same way you can't feed a cow a cow.
But I don't think
Exactly.
he got.
Thank
I don't
you.
think he got mad human, brain disease.
Prions.
I think he got PTSD from it. I think he was traumatized.
Maybe.
Like,
How could you not be? I
Right.
mean,
Seriously.
he could never come back. He's a cannibal. Reza Aslan is a cannibal. He is a cannibal.
yeah, that's
then
one
he
of
got-
those lines like of humanity that once you cross it, it's like you're probably not the same person.
I know somebody who was friends with him, right? And I was talking about this, and I said, "Dude's a cannibal," and they were like, "He is not a cannibal." And I was like, "Did he eat human? He ate some brain from a human." And I said, "So if there's a dude and he takes a child into a room and abuses him, would you not say he's a diddler?" It was only one kid, and they were like, "Oh no, of course, I'm okay. He ate human one time. He's a cannibal."
Right.
Well-
It only takes one time.
But he doesn't seek out human and consume it on like day to day. He's
Yeah,
not like an active
come on.
cannibal.
That we
know
He
of.
practiced cannibalism.
if
he's
he-
not an active cannibal.
He's a cannibal.
Well, he was at one point
If
in
a
his
man
life.
was sitting down with a group of people and they said, "Take this knife and kill that person," and he did, would you call him a murderer?
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
only
there's one way to
it
say
was one time. It was
he
only
murdered
one time.
someone in the past. It doesn't
He-
mean that
he's not a
always
murderer.
a murderer.
Still a
Well, there's
murderer.
different ways to look
He's
at
a
it.
murderer, bro.
Once you're let out of prison, you can say they're an ex-con. They're no longer a convict. They committed the crime in the past. They're no longer a crime committer.
They're
So-
a
So-
convict. What do you mean?
Well, they're an ex-convict when they leave prison.
It's semantic. It means the same
It is
thing.
semantic.
He's still disgusting.
But
He's a
to-
cannibal.
To
That's
say
fair.
he is still a cannibal, I think can drive him insane. If he's
but he
thinking
is.
like I'm a cannibal, I can never shake. But like, yeah, man, you ate it in the
He ate a
past.
human.
Don't eat it in the future.
I guess you can say former.
Former cannibal.
It might have
Yeah.
gave him
Reformed.
mental problems because you can't feed a cow. You can't feed a monkey. Like, it's just one of those things about like life that just once you cross that, it's
What is
just,
it? What is it called?
I think it's
Encephalitis.
prions. Aren't they
Yeah.
prions?
Yes.
Those
Prions,
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not good. Whatever it is,
ain't
it's not good.
Yeah.
Let's read about prions.
It's a bridge too
And
far.
is it?
I don't know.
Maybe it's not encephalitis. I don't know.
Prion
That's
disease. It
that's
is not encephalitis. Sorry.
you get the shakes. Like
Yes.
what's that movie? Is it the Book of Eli? Book of Eli.
Yeah.
You ever see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
This year says a prion is a misfolded protein with the ability to
Yes.
transmit their misfolded shape
It
onto normal
amplifies
variants.
He doesn't have that
That's true,
because you
yeah.
die from that. but I think he got PTSD from it. But anyway, the main point is, because
Anyway.
I'm always willing to
How
talk
did
about
this come up?
CNN
Okay.
host eating brain.
Yeah.
The main point is they aired this.
Yeah.
It was like
it's
it was
on
TV.
YouTube. YouTube allows this to be on their
Yeah.
platform.
That was a big
Yeah, and you know
deal.
that's really obscene. I mean, of all the things that should or shouldn't be censored or shown on TV, that's
Gross.
obscene.
Yeah, a guy eating people.
That's
Seriously.
insane.
That's gross.
Even and you know what? We got problems.
Yeah.
But
There's
that's promoted by YouTube. That's in the algorithm.
Why?
You look up any kind of news event. You look up anything.
no. I
that-
don't think it's promoted. I think someone.
No.
screen grabbed
It is promoted because when you look at similar topics with alternative media, it's suppressed. So when you have information that's suppressed from independent creators and promoted by, of course, mainline institutions that are allowed to do whatever they want, that's promotion. I'm sorry, the mainstream media has a rigged
Oh,
game
I'm
here.
sorry. It's the New York Post. 1.5 million views.
Yeah.
Is
The New York-
CNN host Reza Aslan eats human brains
Look at
while
that.
profiling Hindu Agori cannibals.
A few years ago, I remember playing the CNN clip
Look at
on
that.
YouTube, and of course, it prominently came up.
It's like high resolution too.
Yeah, you look up any relevant news event, never will independent media come up. Never. Even though they were on the ground, even though they got original coverage, even though they got actual reporting on this topic on the ground, independent media is never going to come up. It's always going to be CNN, even just stealing independent reporters' footage like they did to me. They did this to me a couple times, and it's so frustrating because I used to be on the ground reporting live. Mainstream media just stole my stuff, and then in the search algorithms, in the play next, it was always them.
That sounds
Well,
right.
Al Jazeera even took my
well,
video and like
I remember that.
screwed
That was
me
funny.
over.
No. So this is a funny story. Just I'll mention it real quick. Al Jazeera
Stole my
re-uploaded
clip.
Luke's video and then got his video removed.
Yes,
I remember.
and then it took and then
What?
YouTube took away my monetization from
Yeah.
that video, and then for 3 months
So brutal.
didn't allow me to even have that video. Yeah,
That's
totally
disgusting.
stopped the views,
Oh
and then
my
there
gosh.
was no way, there's no accountability, there was no way to fix that. CNN also did a similar thing. They went after one of my live streams. It was I believe not the inauguration, but the speech of the Union, State of the Union address
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the president. I was playing that. CNN said it was theirs, shut me down for a month, couldn't live stream, based off a fake strike that didn't have any merit
I
at
gotta
all.
let you in on a secret,
Ew.
Luke. This is actually the fault of you.
Yeah, so of course I
You
should.
know, no. Hold on. If you want your channel to appear in the authoritative news, you actually just have to fill out a form on Google News, and it's not particularly difficult. No one knows this though. So I've actually talked to Google because we're working on setting up these various sites, and they said you go to Google News, you apply, you fill out the form, you link to your website, and then they include you in their list. So
Nice.
when you search for news and you get all these approved sources, it's because they got their names added to the list. Now, don't get me wrong, Google will probably be like, well, "This guy, get out of here. He was the guy who was yelling at Eric Schmidt. You're not going to put his
I
organization."
didn't yell. I asked him a very pointed, logical
You yelled at
question
him, didn't
that
you?
was needed to be asked to him at that moment, at that time, and I was being respectful.
He's former CEO of Google.
I told him not to curse. Yes.
You're gonna get me demonetized.
Former head of Alphabet and Google, and now he's working with the Pentagon, working on the technological advancements of the military. So, Bilderberg member as well, a lot of secret societies that he's also connected to, but that's a whole other side thing. But yet again, I just asked him a legitimate question that deserved to be asked.
Falcon the Bear.
Yeah, I mean that's what a journalist is supposed to do.
Yep.
I
That's what
face the
Luke
repercussions
Well,
for
let's
it.
talk about Project Veritas.
Yeah.
So actually, I wonder if I have an article. I think I did.
Well,
definitely
as you
do.
look for the article, it's important to know a lot of people got hit today. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Del Bigtree, James O'Keefe, Project Veritas.
So
There's other
much.
reports of Tom McDonald having some of his videos taken down from Spotify and Apple Music. I think they're back up now. But also other individuals like Immortal Technique and R.A. the Rugged Man had their video flagged. And because it was supposedly election disinformation, their music video wasn't even about the election.
No, it was just politics. It was just
It was a
history.
lot of things were about the CIA, but that's a whole nother side topic. But they said it was election disinformation, and then they
I've got
screwed it over.
important breaking news.
Yes.
Project Veritas is not permanently banned from
Oh,
Twitter.
good.
That's good.
So CNN is wrong.
What's
As far
new?
as I know.
I mean,
So I know James O'Keefe.
CNN's wrong.
I know James O'Keefe.
No, my gosh.
And we've had him on the show before, and I think he's a cool dude. I think he's a good dude. I think he does great work. Apparently, he's not permanently banned. They suspended his account because they wanted a certain, you have to remove a certain tweet. The tweet in question is he confronted a Facebook employee like any other news organization would
head
do.
of their operations or something.
Yeah. So they had one of their employees saying like, hey, can you answer these questions? And the guy's like, get out of here. It was in front of his house. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh, but they were at his house. James quickly in his video points out, BBC does it, Fox News does it, CNN does
Everybody's
it. It is
doing
a
it.
normal thing
Standard.
where they go to people's houses and they ask them questions, and they did the exact same thing. And so he says in this video, they will not be taking it down because they will not set themselves to a lower standard than any other news organization. They're going to operate much the same way as anyone else would. So they appealed it.
Yes.
Apparently, because they appealed the decision, Twitter now says the account is suspended. My understanding is it's not permanent, but CNN claims it is. So I wonder if maybe it really is. I mean, I'd have to imagine.
hope not.
They say this. Look, this Twitter permanently banned an account on Thursday belonging to Project Veritas. They say the decision followed what a Twitter spokesperson described to CNN Business as repeated violations of the platform's policies prohibiting sharing or threats of sharing other people's private information. Twitter declined to say what specific tweets may have triggered the enforcement action. But in a post on Project Veritas' public Telegram channel Thursday afternoon, the group said the suspension occurred after it published a video in which Project Veritas accosted. I'm certain Project Veritas didn't say they accosted anybody.
Sure.
Facebook VP of Integrity at his home. They say Twitter also confirmed that O'Keefe's personal account had been locked temporarily for violating the same policy, and that O'Keefe would be required to remove the violative content before regaining permission to tweet. In an emailed statement to CNN Business, O'Keefe again said it was false, that the video contained private information, and claims Twitter told the group it could have its account reinstated if it deleted the tweet containing the video. So it's interesting that Twitter has declined to say what the reason was. Veritas said, no, it's not permanently banned, but CNN still runs the headline that it is permanently banned. I guess we'll just have to wait and see
If they come
By
back.
the way, this is the same CNN that showed up at a memer's house. Someone
Yes,
who made
thank you.
memes at their house. Was it also them, or was it another organization that threatened to dox them unless they take down the memes?
That was CNN.
It was him.
That was
yeah.
CNN. I mean, that's the same news organization that's talking about accosting other individuals. I mean, you got to be
Yikes.
kidding me. I mean, the
CNN
layers of hypocrisy are insane.
Hypocritical.
Didn't they
Yeah.
go to that old lady's house because she was sharing Russian memes or whatever? She was like a member of a page that the Russians were running. So they like show up at her house and she's like, what? What are you talking about? And they're like, ma'am, you're supporting Russian propaganda. And it's like an old lady. And she's like, what? And she goes in her house and like ignores them. Like, you're crazy.
So just to clarify, I haven't watched enough news to know, but do they go to someone's house, stand outside, get a full video shot
Yes.
of the house?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's like
And
they don't, but they blur out the address.
Nope.
They'll
Don't
show
even
the
do that.
address
Yep.
online, so that's doxing.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I've
that's,
seen that
that's
a lot.
illegal, right?
In Sweden, they hacked Discus, a
Oh my
commenting
gosh,
system,
disgusting.
and then they doxed anonymous commenters and showed up to their houses filming.
But is that illegal
insane.
to
No.
dox to publish someone's private information?
Absolutely
online?
not.
No, because it's technically public information.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
I
has
can-
to be accompanied with like a threat or something like that. But if it's just that, because I've been doxxed 5-6 times, and you can't really do anything unless it's accompanied with this is the person's address and people should go.
But does
Right.
Twitter have no doxing in their terms of service?
You're
then?
not allowed to dox. Yeah,
Okay,
private
so they
information.
consider it doxing.
But James didn't include any private information.
I didn't see any address. I didn't see license plates.
It was actually blurred. He
I
blurred
saw
everything.
cars and they were blurred license
Yep.
plates.
Everything was blurred.
I mean, it doesn't even matter because the real point is much like Gina we were talking about earlier. It's just about anyone who's defiant. They're gonna try to crush you. So the fact that they're not already banned actually amazes me.
Well, this is what's funny. They're going after Tucker Carlson because he made comments about George Floyd. And I did a video about this earlier. And I don't look, Veritas, there was no large uprising where they were like, we must ban James O'Keefe. He just got quietly suspended really, really quickly. The reason is James O'Keefe is an actual threat to them because he actually produces video content without his opinion in it. He might editorialize, he reads the copy and he's the one doing the voiceover. But when they show you a video of a VP of Facebook saying things, that's not an opinion. That's the person actually saying it. I mean, it might be the VP's opinion or the employee's opinion, but it's not Veritas's opinion. Tucker Carlson is an opinion guy. He's an excellent boogeyman for the left. So they can go, oh no, look at Tucker saying these things. Everyone quick donate, give me money and subscribe to my Patreon so that we can complain about Tucker. And then, CNN's Fox News review show is like, I can't believe Tucker would say that. They don't want Tucker banned. They need him. He's a boogeyman. Veritas, on the other hand, they can't boogeyman him. They try. They definitely do. But they can't show you what he's actually doing. With Tucker, they
Such
show
a good
clips from
point.
his show, and they're like, look at that opinion.
He's
Well, what are you going to
terrible.
do? Tucker's allowed to have an opinion. It could be a dumb opinion. You don't got to like it, but it's very different.
Yeah.
They want to keep Tucker around, in my opinion, because he's a pressure release valve for the populist right, as is a show like this, in my opinion.
True.
Not everybody on the populist right, because we did rag on Trump quite a bit, and we do rag on Republicans, but it still functions as, in essence, a pressure release valve for those who are freaking out about censorship. Tucker is one show on one channel up against the entirety of the machine. They demonize him as a boogeyman to keep people on their side in line while allowing him to act as a pressure release valve. Veritas is an actual journalistic outlet producing damning information and exposing the corrupt. Nuked.
Yeah. I think they do fair, unbiased journalism. And for me, this is like my
Fox News or Veritas?
Veritas. This is my litmus test for Twitter. If they ban his account for that, I'll stop using Twitter completely. I have no problem. I raised my account from like 400 followers to 10,000 in the
Heck
last
yeah.
6 months. I've been heavily using Twitter, but
What's
if
your
they're-
Twitter?
Ian Crossland. If
find
they blow this, I think I'm going to Minds 100% full time.
Yes.
You know, that's the issue too. A lot of us got to put our money where our mouth is and
That's
be
right.
more active on other platforms.
It's hard.
That's just it. I don't even care about Twitter interactions. I don't even know why I use it. I probably should just start posting on Minds more. That's it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm building up my email
What
list,
is it
and I
again?
definitely recommend everyone else do the same. And I'm Twitter, Instagram. I'm just gonna be extra spicy. I've been having a lot of fun with that. If it goes, it goes. But I have my email list. WeAreChange.org, top right hand corner, means a lot to me.
I got a better idea. We talked about this a bit on a show last week or so. Why don't we just can we create some kind of like federated plugin for websites?
Should.
So instead of telling people follow me on Twitter, I just say follow me on timcast.com.
There
Yeah,
you
like
go.
an
you want-
RSS.
Right.
We're talking
Yeah.
about rebuilding
Yeah.
RSS.
So basically what we could do is we could create a feed where I can just pull up an app on my phone and I can, like I would normally tweet, but I would just go to my own, it would go to timcast.com.
Yeah.
And we can all do it. So if you go there, you'll see all of us. But then we can also do the same thing for all of our guests. But then on their websites, they do the same thing. And so basically there is no one social site. It's just essentially RSS where everyone's getting access to this feed where people are commenting and posting
I
things.
love
We
that.
actually talked about RSS3, like going. So we should talk to our incredibly talented developers that we have in the house to get some advice and move forward with that, because I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were talking about doing is creating a white label software, open source, that people can they can buy a domain, buy server space, and then install the package, and then instantly have a full social media site, but it's on their server space. So if the hosting company bans them, well, that's, there you go. You could still get banned. But Twitter can't do it. Facebook can't do it. And then what we do is we just network them together in some capacity. It would be weaker than Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube because the networking is limited compared to what you can do on Twitter, like hosting videos and stuff. But we can still make a rudimentary system that would work this way. I think it's probably a good idea. We should probably do it.
I like that.
One of the reasons I started timcast.com was because I'm like, okay, well, I can always post here if I get banned. So instead of saying, follow me on Twitter, just follow me on timcast.com, go to the website.
Simple.
We need to make something that aggregates posts from websites, I suppose. So we have like the members only section. Maybe we can make a directory that incorporates memberships or like content posts from a ton of different creators, influencers, commentators. That way you have one app where you can follow everybody, but all it is a directory, not actually, a social media website.
Follow their website activity all through a decentralized. Were you going to say something, Luke?
Well, I don't want to sidetrack. Finish your points, but I want to talk about the Florida travel restrictions.
Why did you look
Yeah.
into it?
No, I was hoping maybe we could pull up a story
Well,
and then read it.
We will in a second.
Crazy.
I guess we're pretty close to wrapping this one up as it is. I guess the general idea is there anybody who wants, especially those listening, who wants to put together an open source, very simple white label package that you can install into a server that gives you the functionality of Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, and then we can create a parent directory that just aggregates those. So basically, we make a website called Ian's amazing, funhouseadventure.com, and when you go there, if you set up one of these white label software programs on your server, you just put your domain, you submit your domain to the site, it gets added to the directory, and then people can follow. And then you go to this website and you'll see a list of all the posts from these websites. And then they could ban the directory, I suppose, but the website still exists. New directories would pop up and you can't ban it. Simple as that.
You could host video. You'd have to pay to host your own video. That's
Of course.
kind of a downside, but
And you'd have to pay. You'd have to pay to host your own everything. But it's,
True.
hey, look, if you're gonna pay, I mean, how much is it gonna cost to host text? Just text.
not much,
Right.
If at all. I
Let's say
think-
be like $10 for the domain, and then
exactly.
like what, $10 a month or something for server space.
right.
And then all you're doing is posting your tweets. No one can ban you. That's what iTunes is saying. They're like, they're trying to get podcasts banned, but iTunes is like, we're a directory. We list RSS
Right.
feeds. We don't actually host anything. What do you want to ban? Well, stop listing it. It's literally just plugins, whatever.
Where do they host the stuff from iTunes, the podcast? Where are those hosted that they're pulling from?
On people's own servers.
Yeah, that's
People's own
not
websites.
iTunes.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're hosting like the Timcast show on a
A proprietary server.
like Amazon AWS or something?
It's a proprietary server.
But iTunes facilitates it for you?
And all I do is provide the RSS link to the podcast platforms.
Oh, so you have someone else holding the server for you, and then you provide a link to iTunes?
There is an RSS link that is given to the podcast platforms, and then they post it.
But
There
I
you
mean, I'm wondering, how do you get your podcast online? Is
Proprietary server.
it- That's you finding a proprietary server
You
somewhere else?
upload to a proprietary server that you get access to, and then you send the link to the podcast.
When you say you
companies.
get access to it, you have to actually go get. It's not through iTunes. It's something separate.
Ian, I'm not going to reveal exactly how we're hosting our private content.
I don't care the name of it, but you're saying you go
You get a
outside
server,
of iTunes.
You send the RSS link to iTunes, and iTunes just shows the link. That's
Got it.
End of story. You wanted to talk about Floor a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's some scuttlebutt. There's some rumors, according to some anonymous reports from inside the White House, that the Biden administration is considering imposing domestic travel restrictions to Florida to stop the spread of COVID-19. There's a lot of responses and official statements made by a lot of Florida government officials, not a lot of government officials from the White House that allegedly are going to be imposing this. So still unconfirmed, but that's the rumor that we're having.
Let's do this. Why don't we dive into this on the website, because we're at Super Chat time.
Let me just read one paragraph here from this NPR article that says DeSantis, the governor of Florida, pointed that the coronavirus-related emergency room visits in Florida have dropped by more than half since December. He said he's 100% opposed to any restrictions domestically. So that's DeSantis. That's what he said.
Good for him.
Just wanted to make that
Yes.
statement, a tease to what we're going to be talking about afterwards.
He's a rock star. I love him.
Well, let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, smash the like button, hit that notification bell, subscribe, all of that stuff. And like I said, go to timcast.com, because we're going to have that segment where the reason why I was saying we should save this for the bonus segment or the members only segment is because we're going to say a whole bunch of stuff YouTube probably will be unhappy with. So let's give ourselves that space to do it, because it sounds like a freaky story. Other than that, we are going to get off on these. We're going to get over to these Super Chats. And all right, let's see what we got. Carlos Mencia. Oh, wow. The Carlos Mencia says, I know how to build and design what you're talking about. Where can I get in touch? You know what? For anybody who's interested, email jobs@timcast.com. I've actually set it up. That's going to get inundated. But I'm, you know what, man? I was actually, we were driving back, and I was like, why don't we just fund like our own TV show? Why don't we just, like, they fired Gina, Carano, and I'm like, why don't we just make our own shows? We don't got Hollywood budgets, but it's not hard to make.
That's what the Daily Wire is trying to do, which I
Yep.
think is a really positive move. I
Let's
forgot
roll.
we were
Even-
live, by the way, until you said Super Chats. I completely forgot we were live. I was like,
You're like, I'm
oh,
just
gosh.
sitting here.
Yeah.
Even if we make really bad ones and really cringy ones, they would still be a lot better than the propaganda in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's really, really frustrating because YouTube has changed the layout for Super Chats, so I can't actually read the name of the Super Chat.
That's weird.
That sucks.
Yeah, why did they do that?
That's horrible.
People
Yep.
deserve to have their name
Dude,
right.
Google does not know how to run
Yep.
a social network. They never have.
Yeah, well,
In the
What the
beginning,
heck?
they did when you actually got to see what you subscribed to.
All right, we got.
But they just bought YouTube. YouTube knew how. Google bought it and then started to ruin it.
Yeah.
We got Darth Halix says Tom McDonald's new song has been removed from all major music services.
No.
His message is too powerful. Please get him as a guest.
That makes me so
Tom's
mad.
cool. We know Tom, and I'll tell you this right now. You think Tom's cool? He
will
is.
Come on.
We have a ton of other people we've all reached out to. A ton of really awesome people. People can't travel right now.
It's true.
So a lot of people are like,
Why?
I don't want to mention anything too specific about people's families or whatever, but there's a lot of issues where people are taking health very seriously.
Yeah,
and so
that
there's
makes
been like a
sense.
dozen
Totally get it.
really amazing guests I'm super excited for. Some people I'm just like, there's like, one particular person I've been a fan of for a decade, and they're like, I'd love to do the show, but COVID, and here are the reasons. And I'm like, those are legitimate. Oh, that sucks.
So I'm just the backup.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. We were like, what crazy person would fly from across the country? And Blaire, we were like, oh yeah, we'll get Blaire. She'll totally do it.
She'll do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we're stoked to have you, of course.
Man.
I
Yeah.
love Tom McDonald, by the way. I think what he's doing is awesome. I just
Seriously.
discovered him last week. I don't know why I'm late on the train.
Me too.
And I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, good job. And he's like, my girlfriend's freaking out. She loves you. I was like, that made me feel really good.
Oh, that's
So
Dude,
I like
Tom's
him.
great.
Yeah.
Man, his
He's
videos are
great.
so
He
good.
really is.
And did you
Amazing.
know his girlfriend films all of them?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
only
yeah.
those
Wow.
two doing
Yep.
all
It's
of
like
it.
a
No
super
no big
small
production.
business.
Right. And
no
the quality
labels.
is
Oh my
so
gosh.
good.
That's
Maybe we
why
should get
I'm
them both on
saying-
the show.
That's why I'm saying let's start making stuff.
Yes.
So jobs@timcast.com.
What do we need?
We'll just start pitching ideas. I don't know if someone wants to build the flux capacitor
Let's
or
go.
invent a time machine, same thing,
I can't
whatever,
believe
man.
they would remove his song. I mean, I can believe it, but that's just so.
I mean, he yells,
Crappy.
facts don't care about your feelings,
That's
you know?
right.
Like that's the chorus. So, all right, let's see what we got. VBDC says, check out my interviews with Ian and Zertis on Talkie Time only on IG. Big up, Tim Crew. Is that something you
That's
do?
on Instagram, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right on. Justin Meyer says, who is this Blaire chick? She's got.
What's
Was
that
that supposed to
mean?
be an H? I think he
know.
typoed.
Sounds great.
What's got mean?
Hot.
Oh,
Maybe.
Hi.
Yeah, we'll go with
Goth?
it. That's right.
Gareth Green says, hey, Blaire, I've been following you since 2017.
Oh, thank you.
Gareth is one of our mega super chatters. Super chats
He's
a lot.
so great.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Jay says, I have been canceling my Disney Plus sub after each episode of The Mandalorian. The service doesn't offer me anything else that is worthwhile. Now I have more reason to stay unsubscribed. Cancel season 3. You know, I kind of feel bad that I subscribed in the first place. I was not subscribed to Disney Plus. And then when Jack was like, actually Mandalorian's pretty good, I was like, I should season 2. I was like, I should watch it. And Gina Carano was great in it. I thought she was great. I thought she was good in Deadpool. And then when this happened, people started saying you should cancel Disney Plus because of the Uyghur Muslim thing and their support for the paramilitary group. And I was like, oh, why did I subscribe to this in the first place?
seriously.
Because they still get to keep my money, even though I canceled,
I just wanted to watch Cheetah Girls. I'm sorry.
That's all I wanted. It's just something simple.
Diz His says, I don't like Blaire White, but you guys should be able to handle other opinions. Sounds like cancel culture. Live chat gotta chill. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, I don't like Blaire White either, but you guys should be able to handle other opinions. Sounds like cancel culture. Live chat gotta chill.
Ooh.
Jeez.
All right. Calm
Well,
down.
not everyone's gonna love you. I mean, Ian gets a lot of flack every so
Welcome to
often.
hell.
True as well.
But you know what? It's so much better to be someone that everyone has a strong opinion about than the opposite.
No,
I mean,
in my
It's good for
opinion.
ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's followed up by from Make the Transition. I love Mommy Blaire. So
There
Right,
you
it's
go.
love or
Yeah,
hate. Love
nailed
it.
Garhunt says Gina was fired day before Q1 Disney release. Rumor is internal Disney employee released it before Q1 to save her. Disney was firing her before. Interesting. No, but she got canned from UTA. That's brutal. Like losing your talent agency.
UTA is a big deal.
Yeah. I'm not a fan, and I'm more a fan of making your own stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We need to build our own industries. We need to build our own, infrastructure for all this stuff.
Man, I had management, CBS management. They had been at CBS before, and they dropped me when I was making YouTube videos with a black eye talking about getting hit in the face. They were like, it's too racy, dude. That industry sucks.
Yep.
It's like a big snake that you want to ride that will bite you and throw you off if you mess with it.
Very
True.
Yeah.
Enabled Diamond says, Sour Patch Lids, I at you on Twitter. Can you please show my dog? I had to put her down today. Just please show how happy she is. That's how I want her remembered.
I'm
at Luke
sorry.
Polska forever.
I'm very
Can you
sorry. I gotta pull it up. I'm sorry. I didn't see that go by.
can you,
That's
can you try and find it on your phone?
I
and
will.
We'll
I
figure out what it
totally
is and then
will,
we'll pull
for
it up.
Sure.
That's sad.
Yeah. It's rough.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, man.
Dogs are man's best friend.
Yeah.
That's right.
Damon Cord says there is a civil war in Lucasfilms, and she is popular on one side and conservative. Kennedy's faction hates almost everyone with Mandalorian. Wow,
True. Yeah. Very true.
that's so weird. Jared Thiel says, hey, Tim, was talking with a friend from MKE and went to UWM and basically told me that it's student bodies and student governors who started the local riots. Interesting. Jen McMahon says, is that Blaire's voice I hear?
Yes.
It is Blaire. Hi, Blaire.
Yes. Hi. Yes.
Is there audio only for this?
I love it. Yeah, after the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So really, I mean, but it's because people, when they listen to like a show like this, even though it's live and there's
sometimes
cameras.
they don't look. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look.
Yeah.
Cirilio says, I love when separate YouTubers I watch get together.
Yes.
It's like the old school crossover episode of your favorite show as a kid. Yes.
I know. I always love it too. I'm like, that person
You
knows
know-
that person. I love it.
I think I'm just going to have to keep skipping forward because the next one is Blaire and Hart.
Oh, I
and
love her
just,
so much. I
yeah, just
love
basically
it.
everybody like, Blaire's great.
Just like
Thank you.
fangirling. Love
Yeah.
it.
Shaker Silver says, why focus on Pedro? Go for the jugular. Disney has not answered for support of the Uyghur camps and the lead actress of Mulan supporting Hong Kong police.
All true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
Well, another shout out we have Clayton Reddig says, Serpensa and Lawai 86 would be awesome guests.
True.
You have a lot of follower overlap. That would be very happy about it.
Very true.
Yeah. What's up? Are we
I
gonna
look them up. Yeah. They're in
We've
my
reached
list.
out to 'em, right?
Yeah, I know. I've reached out. Yeah, it's all good.
I want Elliot Hulse to come
Who's
on.
that?
Yes, I know.
He's
Elliot
another
Hulse.
YouTuber.
He's like a
Strength
trainer.
Camp.
He's
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
I like him.
Let's see. Xerosifer says, love you, Tim, but Occam's razor is not the simplest solution, is often the correct one. It is, quote, competing hypotheses about the same prediction. One should select the solution with the fewest assumptions. Simple solutions can have huge assumptions. That's a very, very good point, and thank you for the
Interesting.
correction because I have been oversimplifying the statement for sure.
I like that. I
Yes,
really like
the one
that.
that makes the fewest assumptions is a better way of saying it.
Yes.
R. Bracewell, been saying this is pre-World War II Germany. Speak up and speak out. Don't let them take your voice. Don't let them tell you you're wrong. Who cares if you don't have a Facebook or Twitter? Shut them up and shut them down before they get you.
Do not go quietly. That's
There
right.
are a bunch of people I know who are prominent and powerful. And like you were saying about Hollywood half is conservative, they seem to think, and I'll tell you this, you guys are wrong, that if they shut up and sit down, then the tide will pass over them. It will
Yeah.
not.
It'll get you.
It's, you know that meme of death going door to door?
Yes.
That's what's happening. And for some reasons, people are like, well, he's going to skip this one because I'm not making any noise. No, he's opening every single one.
Because
You're
they
on
don't
that list.
actually need a reason. They can make up things too.
Yep.
You know what I
Very-
mean? Just
very
like
true.
Chris Pratt when everyone was going after him for being a suspected conservative and he was getting hate for that. It's like they're all going to get you.
Thank
Tom
you.
Brady.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It was
Right.
racist of him to win the Super Bowl.
Right. They
How
can just
dare
make
you.
it up.
During Black History Month.
They were like, Colin Kaepernick was trending after the Super Bowl. And they were saying like, happy Colin Kaepernick Appreciation Day. I'm like, why? What? You can praise him as an activist. I don't care. But he doesn't play football.
Right.
See, I don't know anything about the Super Bowl. I didn't even know it was happening when it was happening. But
Right.
I told my friend, I was like, "Oh, the Super Bowl's on. They'll make it about race somehow." And then it happened. It was just so predictable.
Unavoidable.
Yeah.
Jordan Fowler says, Tim and crew, are any of you worried that the government considers you to be too radical because of what you say and come after you with the FBI or ATF saying you're dangerous because you own guns? I'm not worried.
No.
No, I'm
no
not.
Worries.
In fact, I think things have improved for me because when I first went to buy guns, I was heavily delayed. It took like 5 days.
Not anymore, right?
Now it's like they punch it
Yeah.
in and the FBI guys at it's
We
called
know
NICS,
you.
they're just like, oh, it's Tim again. Hey.
It's all good.
We were joking that they're like at this point they're probably like, oh, hey, it's Tim. We watch his show. Yeah, here you go. Get
Heck
your
yeah,
guns or
we
whatever.
do.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm not worried. I don't know. What do you think, Luke? Are you worried?
We, dot our I's, cross our T's. We don't do anything illegal. We're overly careful about making sure we follow every little made-up rule. Doesn't matter.
All rules are made up.
Yes. True, though.
We make sure that we're squeaky clean, and we are. And there's nothing that could get us on.
Yeah.
I've been basically invited to Bilderberg, so I'm not concerned.
Ooh. Very
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
Very cool.
Ian's part of the Illuminati. So
Oh, snap.
Dmitry Kudzik says, hi, Tim. Love your idea on making short films that are not affected by today's divisive political climate. By the way, where can one send a pitch script? I'm a professional 3D animator and VFX artist. Will be happy to help with CG if you need it. You know, honestly, I don't even know where to begin with something like this because I'm not. I've made documentaries. I've never made fiction stuff. The documentaries I've made have always been field reporting, Veritas kind of stuff or hosted stuff. in terms of putting together a short film, I don't know where to begin.
You can send everything to me at lydia@timcast.com, which everyone latched on to after Tim said that in his morning.
Well, actually,
segment.
we have jobs at timcast.com.
We do. Very
Yes.
cool.
Yes, I've created something specific.
We
So
have
I think,
super-
however, we'll need to make pitches or pitch at timcast.com soon. We don't have that now, but jobs will suffice because not everyone is trying to pitch a story. And to be completely honest, I don't know if we're at the point where we can actually go through that and get to it. I think the first thing we need to do is hire a production specialist,
Yes, so
someone
much to
who
do.
can do it and knows what they need to make short films and a series. And I'd love to actually fund maybe like a 10-episode series of some sort.
That'd be
We don't get, it's not a big budget,
cool. Oh my
but you look at
gosh.
shows like The Office and their budget is mostly the star power, the actors and their
I
costs.
was watching that last night.
It's not hard to do something, really simple with a couple cameras, and we have the resources to do it. So let's just do it. We could make, I was thinking about, I think you mentioned this earlier before we were on the show. You said comedy is like dying or dead, Blaire.
Very
And then I was like, well, there's Ryan Long, and I think
Dillon.
Tim Dillon, yeah.
JP Sears.
Yeah, definitely JP
very
Sears.
true,
Yeah. And so
There's
I'm,
a few.
He's great,
yeah, so I'm like, well, maybe that's the kind of humor that we can do in a sitcom that doesn't exist in TV or Disney or Hulu because they're terrified little babies. And look, if people, I'll make what people want to watch if they want to watch it, and if it works, we'll make more. It sounds fun.
I think it's a good idea.
There we go. We just got to build our own infrastructure.
definitely is
Like Tom
fun.
McDonald doing his thing independently.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Ooh, we got a big old super chat from Emmanuel Zayas. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Plubius the Good says Marco Rubio was the main one who has been in charge of censorship. He was the one who called the expert witness that famously said, "We must silence the cannons on social media." 800 journalists from both sides of the aisle were banned immediately after. Wow, really?
Whoa, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Jeez.
KDB says, so happy to see Blaire on. I watch every single one of both of your videos. Wish I wasn't working so I could watch it all live. Now to make one more dream come true, Luke, if you haven't decided yet, please scare Tim with shoe on head.
Ah, okay. Well, thanks
Well,
for the
What does that
advice.
mean?
Well,
He
no,
wants Shoe to come on the show.
Oh.
No, Tim stormed my RV with Alex Jones and woke me up when I was taking a nap. And now I got to find someone to bring on the
That's
show to
great.
scare the crap out of Tim when
I
he's
got
sleeping.
your back, Luke.
That's
Okay.
great.
I got this.
Well, Shoe's always welcome to come on the show, but we have a lot of invites out. So
Standing in
Contact me, Shu.
So
Wherever
many.
Shu
Oh
is.
yeah. KCB says, I nuked all my social media a month ago, and the joy I have in life has been wildly increased.
Yes.
Also, happy 40th birthday to my beautiful wife of 20 years.
Woo, happy
birthday.
Oh my gosh. Love it.
Jack Bensivenga says, would you want to have Gina Carano on the show as a guest? I saw a segment of Steven Crowder where he said he'd hire her. I saw that too. He was like, I don't
Yes,
care for what you're hired. We'll give you
please.
any job.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be amazing to have
Yes,
Gina
we
Carano
should
on the
have
show. I'd
her.
absolutely love to.
guys
I
should reach
tweeted
out.
I tweeted
Yes,
at her. It's the only
please.
real way
Yeah, it's hard.
But I'm sure this has been pretty crummy for her, so I don't want to.
She's going through it, I'm sure.
yeah, it's true.
But
You,
hey,
you don't want to be
Gina.
asking for favors,
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's going
no,
through a
no.
hard time.
But
Hard
maybe it could also be an opportunity to speak freely for a couple hours, explain. She went on the Babylon Bee podcast, I guess, recently.
right before everything.
Yeah. So look, it
Maybe
would be.
once the dust settles and she's kind of like, because it can't feel good. She's probably really going through it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, maybe she's not. Maybe she's like,
She seems kind of tough. I wonder if she was
Yeah.
just like,
She does seem
got
tough.
angry.
I'll give her
Yeah.
that.
I'm
I
sure
love
she's
her.
devastated. I went through it prematurely. I had to leave the entertainment industry after I had like management with CBS and booking commercials and
Jeez,
television, but I
yeah.
just kept speaking honestly on YouTube. They've stopped working with me basically, and I realized I
Yep.
had to make a choice.
Yep.
Go down there and be subservient or do the free speech thing. I did free speech. I lost all the money, all the notoriety, almost killed myself. And now it's I've realized I did the right thing by
Right.
sticking to my honest truth. So she's like just entering that like, what have I done? What have I done with my life? I've
she's
just been
hard,
blacklisted
right?
by the entertainment.
What if she done?
industry.
For her life, she fought 8 MMA matches and won 7 of them.
Boom.
You're
Yes.
like,
Nice.
Yes,
yeah.
queen.
So my thing's always like, if tomorrow I got permabanned from every platform and then my hosting, everything went down, I'd be like, let's go fishing. You
Yeah.
can't, it's-
yeah. I've always been like that too. It's like
She gotta-
everything ended right now.
Yeah, but what if they took all your money
fine.
away?
Well, that's
I-
different.
What?
All of
Whatever.
it. They took all your houses, all your money tomorrow.
all of my houses.
Yeah. You'd be like, what would you do with your life?
I go skate.
You'd
Yeah.
probably try and get it back.
Just
Nah.
chilling?
I would
No,
imagine
no,
you
no.
wouldn't turn over and give up.
No.
But it depends. Like, you know, I'd love to just go hang out at the skate park and just skate all day. You know,
I would go to Bali and live for pennies on the dollar.
yeah, Costa Rica, man.
Get the
Costa Rica,
sweater.
on the
Yeah.
state.
You know, the issue is,
Argentina?
I'll tell you this, to be honest, you need money to a certain degree. So if everything got banned, I'd probably do some consulting work, make enough to, you know, sustain myself for a decent amount, and probably just go skate.
Would you continue to try the same methodology, or would you do like some totally different lifestyle?
I don't know. I'd probably just go skate, go fishing, and live in a van down by the river. I got the van. It's ready to go.
I guess they can't take your van.
Very true.
They can try.
Very true.
I don't know. If they took everything away from me,
It's an extreme
I'd go live in the woods
postularity,
and,
but yeah.
you know, build a
Chill
mud
out.
hut.
Yeah.
All right, Publius the Good says, well, we need a freedom party. This issue is that Biden used his power under the Obama administration to use the IRS to destroy the Tea Party. I don't see a realistic solution when the ruling class will unlawfully try to destroy all the opposition. I hear you on that one, man.
It's true, man.
Swifty says, I think the only thing about Disney as it is now that Walt Disney himself would be disappointed or angry with is that most of the management is either Jewish or female. Very sad.
Unspeakable.
Walt
Yes.
Disney was a raging anti-Semite and a sexist. So,
Yeah.
you know,
so.
that's the point. Yep. Publius the Good says, plus 5,000 for your guest. Well said.
Heck yeah.
People
She's
think
the
you are
best.
great, Blaire.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
thank you.
It's very true.
Chris Pavoto says, calling you guys out hypocrites for bashing Twitter but still using it. You all have other means to reach fans. Why keep it? Smack talking it but helping them in ad revenue. And please don't just say it's the new social gathering place. No, I think you're right. Absolutely. And I think that's why I'm going to focus more on the Timcast.com. I'm going to see if we can build the system where we can all post stuff in like a Twitter-like style just on the website. So I would just be like, follow me on my website, and we have our post of content all day and our jokes, and you can comment or respond. That's probably the way to do it, man. We already have a
Love it.
comment section. We just need to
Love
create,
it.
you know, just blog posts. And yeah, I should probably use Minds more than Twitter from now on. Probably just use Twitter for reading the news.
I understand that hypocritical statement. That kind of wrecks me during my life, where I think, you know, we live off the backs of child slaves. This clothing was made probably in a factory somewhere by people, I don't know. I do it anyway. We type on plastic. That's what we're sorry, Tim. What were you gonna say?
No.
Let's move on. So I don't
Everyone's
know,
a
man.
hypocrite to some
We're all
degree.
hypocrites.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
This is a good one. IB Drago says, Bill Gates is Mr. Rabbit in Utopia. He literally checks off all the boxes.
Yikes.
Do you know what that is, Mr. Rabbit?
Very
So
true.
Utopia, the new one that came out on Amazon, is about this like tech mogul guy, or he's making fake meat. And am I spoiling the show if I tell everybody?
Well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler
Mute it
alert.
if you don't want to know.
If you don't want to watch
Little
Utopia.
bit. Little
Basically,
bit.
they call him Mr. Rabbit, and he manufactured, they're staging a virus, or I think they manufactured it, so that they can give people a vaccine that sterilizes them.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
something like
dark.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little dark.
They canceled it because people were like, yo, this is...
Too close to reality, right?
It's
Yeah.
a little close to
A
home.
little bit.
Or
yeah,
I guess it
a
made
little
people
bit.
like think it was real. Whatever.
Jeez, people are silly.
Well, actually, so the show is about a comic book that is basically predicting what's going on. And
That's a
so
cool
the point
concept.
people are making was it's a show about a fictional medium predicting that there is going to be a fake disease where they'll use it as a pretext for giving everyone a vaccine that sterilizes them. And now in the real world, there is this show which is saying everything that happened, and it's, you know, there's a vaccine coming out, so people got freaked out by it.
Are you all going to get the vaccine?
No way.
No,
I have food allergies.
I have no plans.
Yeah, so I don't. I guess I'm not
can't.
supposed. I can't
Yeah,
get
I
it.
can't.
There was a pregnant lady who got it and miscarried, and it's they say don't do this. There was a story where it was like
In the United Kingdom, specifically, they tell people if you're pregnant, don't take it. If you have allergies, don't
right.
take it.
So
Exactly.
I'll tell you this. There's a story where it's like a woman and she's like standing with her hands on her hips and she's getting the vaccine and she's 14 weeks pregnant, and then she posts 2 weeks later saying this is tragic, we miscarried, and I feel so bad for her.
Sorry.
But like they warned women who are pregnant not to take the vaccine, and they warned people with food allergies not to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to follow those guidelines because a woman, you know, miscarried. I take it
Right.
seriously.
That's
Look,
serious.
a lot of people get too much into the politics of it. Talk to your doctors. If your doctors tell you what you should do it. And if there are things that are like counterindicated, or they say you don't do it for these reasons, take it seriously. I'm not super worried. We're talking about herd immunity. It means there's a lot of people who have no problem. They're going to get the vaccine. They're going to be fine. And I think a couple million or whatever already have. Biden says he's going to do his mass rollout. And then we have herd immunity, and not everyone is going to get it. I'm not saying people should ignore it and not get it. I'm saying if you are pregnant, if you are nursing, if you have allergies, you should follow those instructions. And I'm taking those seriously because I don't want anaphylaxis. I mean, that does not sound fun.
Yeah, the head of Johnson & Johnson, by the way, is saying that people should take the shot once a year. And they're going to have to take it when it mutates and changes. There's also some news about rare blood disorders that are coming up with some people. A lot of things we got to get into that we're going to talk about later on.
Yeah, so I'm immunocompromised, and I probably will not be taking it at all until people around me have taken it. Like, I'm not going to worry about it until everyone around me is super chill about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Turkey Face says, "Don't mind me. I'm just simping for Blaire White. She's awesome."
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Aww,
So many of these comments I'm like passing because it's just like people, praising Blaire.
I love it.
Okay, well, shout out to the one super chat that made me think everyone hated me. In reality, all these are like positive. Thanks.
They love you.
I don't want to bring the negativity, but I also think if someone comments something negative and I skip it because they're saying something bad about somebody,
And that's fake too.
yeah, it's fake. But,
Yeah, but-
I got to be honest, they're mostly praising you.
Also, like, I don't know. The negativity doesn't deserve to get propagated sometimes.
That's
It's like,
fair.
if you're damaging the system, why would I highlight you? So I don't know. I got mixed feelings. I used to want to show everybody, propagate everyone. Everyone deserves a chance. But certain behaviors, I don't know. Then all of a sudden I become the hierarch that decides what can and shouldn't be said.
Good
So like,
point.
Right.
Yeah, the
it's a deep
arbiter.
conversation.
Yeah.
Michael Holder says, "I was going to buy one of those space helmets to troll my coworkers, and my manager shut me down because it would affect my peripheral vision. No moral browbeating morons for me. Sad troll noises."
Aw.
I'm going to have fun. I'm going to take this thing out to Walmart, and I'm going to give everyone disgusted looks.
Yes.
When they're looking, I'm going to go, "Ugh."
Not as good as me.
I don't know why you're yelling at me.
He'll totally lecture them.
And I have two of
Great.
them, so like me and Ian can both do it. And just like it's the best thing. You virtue signaling, it feels so good when you express your moral superiority over your fellow man. Imagine being able to physically wear a space helmet and then just point at people and yell.
Sounds
like
amazing.
Remember in Invasion of the Body Snatchers when what's his face, Sutherland guy? What's his first name?
Donald Sutherland?
Yeah, he goes he like points and yells. We can do that.
Yes.
Because you know what's funny is people really do that. Like I see people that do like the double mask and the
Seriously.
face shield and the goggles, and they look at you crazy. They look at
Luke's-
you like
You're
you're
the
gonna
crazy
kill someone.
one.
Luke's got a funny meme where it's a guy wearing sunglasses and he's thinking like that's crazy, and it's a guy wearing a mask and a face shield getting anal swabbed for a COVID test, and he's thinking
Yikes.
conspiracy theorist.
Uh-huh.
But that's what they're doing in China. They're
Yeah,
doing,
I
they're,
saw that.
Yeah, they're butt swabbing people. You know, well, hey man,
That's
whatever.
nice of you.
All right, Count Ludwig says, "I hate formal boycotts, but I think that free speech lovers must start organizing them against companies that kowtow to cancel culture. In war, the best funded organized army usually wins. Right now, we're just a ragtag squad."
True.
Yep.
Yep. You vote with your dollar.
Zach, let's see. Robert Boss says, "I went to DC from Miami 2 days ago. Flight to DC had all middle seats empty. Flight back home to Miami, all seats taken. American Airlines didn't let people on board in bandanas, masks only."
Interesting.
Yeah, they don't do bandanas. Americans pretty bad with it.
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah. Publius the Good says, "Well said, Tim. This is the central issue. The stimulus bills have done virtually nothing for individual people and massively benefited corrupt corporations." Yup.
Very true.
More people saying that they've canceled their Disney Plus. I think it's the right move because,
Thank you.
you know, as long as moderates, disaffected liberals, conservatives, whatever this pro-freedom faction is, as long as they're not going to be organized and do anything, they're just going to keep losing. So you got to start, voting with your dollars, man. You got to say no.
Right.
Keyboard Warrior says, "Tim, what was the military stealth radar you talked about the other day that got recalled for too many false positives? What terms can I Google for?" Do you remember that,
It was
Ian?
like a quantum radar.
Quantum radar. That's what it was. Yeah. The idea was that it could detect invisible things in the sky, and it was giving too many readings, I
Yeah,
guess.
Too many false positives. We can't show
Well,
this
I'll
anymore.
say this. I haven't looked into that story. I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, that
but
was
you
my
can Google
assumption
it, and you
was
can
that-
investigate it and fact check
that
it.
it was too good, so they pulled it off the market and just told everyone that it was malfunctioning. But
Yeah.
in truth,
Or it was
too
actually
powerful.
malfunctioning.
That was
Either
my
way.
my
Yeah.
conspiracy theory.
Cassetto says, "Here's money just because you said The Book of Eli is a good movie." The Book of Eli is awesome.
Very true.
Have
Love
you all
movie.
have you all seen it?
Yep.
You've not seen it?
I don't think
You'd
so.
love it.
It's
It's
good.
great.
Gotta watch
It's
it.
really good.
Yeah.
Come on.
Man, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil it now because
Yeah.
Luke's not seen it.
It's so
It's
good.
awesome.
I haven't seen
It's
it in a
Denzel,
long
right?
time.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
He's great.
It's
Wait,
Yeah.
I thought it was Will Smith.
No.
Denzel Washington.
Oh, I guess it is Denzel.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
He's
you're
great.
thinking of
iRobot.
no, I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because they're
I've seen both of those, but yeah.
Similar post-apocalyptic.
iRobot was good too.
So
Yeah, I think iRobot was awesome.
Movies suck now.
right.
Yep.
Seriously. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Everything's-
Will Smith was in iRobot, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
He was,
one of his
yeah.
best movies.
It
to
was
be honest.
good.
So
Yeah.
good.
I kinda wanna
Oh my
watch it now.
gosh. Yes.
Gareth Green says, Tim and Blaire, remember Kilroy? The meme? Oh, the event. The Kilroy event. Remember that? Do you remember that?
Have I lost my mind? I don't know what that is.
They were doing
It
that.
sounds familiar, but
It was like in Phoenix or whatever. They were going to do that event and then it fell apart because.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a moment.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, that was a moment.
Moment.
One of those drama things that doesn't matter to the bigger world, huh?
Yeah, I see. I forgot about it. I'm like, what?
Doug Smith says, Tim, love your show. My wife and I are new business owners. Opened a storefront February 2020. Got shut down. Still had to pay rent. Been holding on, but we haven't taken a paycheck for a year. How can we sponsor you? Win-win.
Five, man.
What's the store? What do they do?
Yeah, what's your... well, I don't know how you're not going to be able to respond.
Well,
to
they
this
could
super
probably
chat.
message us through the email, and then we could probably...
Info at timcast.com.
We could figure out some kind of creative way to help each other.
That
Yeah.
would be great.
Info at timcast.com.
I love it.
Prometheus says, no helmet, but wearing a mask is normal for many motorcycle riders, more specifically Harley riders for bugs. You see, Luke, you were wrong. You judged somebody and you were wrong.
No, this
dare
was
you.
like the medical mask. I understand a bandana, but this was like...
Maybe he was wearing it because it served the purpose.
Yeah.
Then when it bugs in his mouth.
Catch the bugs. Yeah.
Please wear a helmet.
He
if
had
you're
no
gonna ride a
glasses.
motorcycle.
You'd think he had
Luke,
glasses if that was the case.
You're a bigot.
Oh, that's all it is.
Zix Captain LTIMT says, hey, hiya Tim. If you need someone to do some character voices for a satirical short, I'd like to try out for that. Can go high and low from Ganondorf, Ocarina of Time, to Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks, and higher and lower. Oh, very interesting.
Very cool.
Well, once we start figuring out what we're doing, we'll do it to it. Are you taking pictures?
I did a boomerang for Instagram.
Oh.
I'm promoting your show.
A boomerang.
Love it.
Arceon says everyone watching right now should contact the FTC and try and take down conglomerates on Google, Facebook, and Twitter. These companies will not be nearly powerful if they don't have subsidiaries.
Very true.
Well, file complaints when you have legitimate complaints, for sure. That's what their agencies are for. Sparky the Pyro says Mystery Movie Theater 9000 Timcast Edition. When? That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
would be.
great
But you
question.
can't do it. You can't watch a movie and comment on it
Yeah.
because they take you
It's
down.
So boring.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unless you you know what you do? You record the commentary and tell people as at the 00 mark, press play.
Oh yeah, we could release a bunch of those, and you have a
Yeah.
timestamp on it.
And then what you do is you turn us on while you watch the movie,
Interesting.
and you can hear us talk about the movie and do commentary. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
Migno Solomon says, I never understood income tax. Basically, the more productive you are, the more you pay versus sales tax, where the more you consume, you pay.
Right.
If you use more resources, you're
Yeah.
using more services that government provides. Thoughts? I have no problem with taxes. I have a problem with the corruption. So there was this really great meme posted by this really brilliant independent journalist where it said when capitalists complain about socialism, they're complaining about government, and when socialists complain about capitalism, they're complaining about government. I can't figure out remember the name
true.
of this genius independent journalist who
I gotta
posted
look
this.
it up.
Luke, could you
Yeah.
maybe know who it was?
No.
It was Luke. He
No
posted
idea.
Brilliant
It was
comment.
totally Luke. Yeah. It was
take-
Luke.
No, it's a good meme though. It's like everybody, the socialists are like, the capitalists are doing this and that, and I'm like, you're complaining about corruption.
You don't
And then the
get it.
capitalists are like the socialists, you're also complaining about corruption.
Right.
That was today's meme, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
today's meme. Why you do like one?
There's
meme
a lot of
day.
meme.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
one
main
day.
one for my Instagram today.
Meme of the day.
That's
Meme
right.
of the day. Stephen Bigg says, I write and have directed several of my own movies. If you are seriously interested in making your own shows, I would be interested in helping. Well, jobs at timcast.com. So it'll probably, light up, but there you go.
That's right.
Aurora Diaz says, Tim, that's exactly Mastodon Social. You could make @tim@timcast.social and have a pod-like email has a domain, and they connect together. Well, not Mastodon, but the Fediverse. The problem with Mastodon is they're super woke far left, and they ban everybody. So the idea is to use something like the Fediverse, so we very may well use Fediverse software
Beautiful.
so that we can all link everything together.
Yes.
All right, we'll just take maybe two more super chats. We have this one from Hannah Choi. Says, how do you guys get your sources? I can never find good, trustworthy sources on Google. By the way, love you, Blaire. I just read multiple sources. So I'll do a search for a story and I'll see what everybody's saying. And then I'll look at a right-wing source and a left-wing source and then try and, figure out where the truth is at.
Can I put my 2 cents in? Because I use Memeorandom, MEME, random.com, and they pull everything together for you. It's fantastic. I really love it. It's like everything. It's completely unbiased. I love it.
Nice.
Does it? No, Luke. You don't have any
Anything,
sources.
Luke?
I mean, fact check everything, and make sure there's actually evidence behind it. Look at the documents, look at the photos, look at who's corroborating it, look at the witnesses. Is it an anonymous source? Well, there's reason to be skeptical if it is.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll do one last super chat from Ed S. He says, Blaire is hot.
Oh,
there's just a lot of them. So
There you go.
That's the finale super chat.
Finale super chats.
Love
So,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a bonus segment. It's going to be for members only over at timcast.com. So make sure you go there and sign up if you want to hear us talk all this crazy stuff that would probably get us banned off social media.
It's going to be good.
And there's even a shout out to all the grifters who signed up to become members and have given us your emails and IPs and all that stuff to just download our clips and post them all over the internet, which is just free promotion. So, hey, it is what it is.
That's right.
I think the craziest thing is there are people who clip the private stuff. It's like you gave us all your private information. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that?
Right. And isn't it technically illegal?
No, I mean, there's some. It's a civil case. If they take proprietary behind the paywall and start leaking it stuff.
They're allowed.
Oh, actually, that might be.
Yeah, because there's people that take like people's maybe Patreon exclusive content, and you can actually go after them.
Really? Wow. Well, anyway, become a member if you
do
legitimately
that.
want to just watch the content, which is available on the site. And we'll have that segment coming up in maybe about an hour or so. But don't forget to check out my other YouTube channels, youtube.com/Timcast, youtube.com/TimcastNews. We do the show Monday through Friday live at 8 p.m. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, smash that like button if you haven't already. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you leave us a good review and a comment. And you can follow me on... you know what? You can follow me on Minds.
That's right.
Minds.com/Timcast, where my videos are automatically posted. And I'll start posting more there instead of these other garbage platforms. But Blaire, you want to mention your social media or anything?
Yeah, please subscribe to me on YouTube. Just search up Blaire White. I'm the only Blaire White. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. It's Blaire with an E. Everyone forgets that. Yeah, just search me up anywhere. I'm everywhere.
Right on.
If we're getting into entertainment, I just want to kind of go off on a tangent here. If we're going to go off to entertainment, my pitch is to get someone like Tim Dillon, Ryan Long, JP Spears, Joey B. Toons, What's Her Face, and let's create a new kind of mad TV satirical comedy to make fun of the establishment until they're so embarrassed they don't even want to go outside.
Thank you.
That would be my pitch. I would love to see that. That's just my idea. A little brain fart I had to get out that I was kind of formulating here as you guys were talking.
Yeah.
They're all invited.
We have a budget.
I love all of those guys and girls that they do incredible work. Check them out if you're interested. And if you want to check me out and support me, you can on wearechange.org/donate. There's many different ways you could get involved with what I'm doing, but mainly I just release videos on youtube.com/wearechange. We Are Change is the YouTube channel, and thanks for checking me out on there.
You guys can follow me at Ian Crossland. Hit me up on Twitch or follow me there at Ian Crossland. It's twitch.tv/Ian Crossland. And you can also follow me on Minds. I love that website.
Very cool.
At Ian Crossland.
Yes. I'm on Minds too. I forgot. I'm on
Yeah,
Minds.
she is.
Minds
She
is
is
hot.
for sure. Follow Minds for sure. I am Lydia. I am Sour Patch Lids on Twitter. I'm also on Minds, and I'm Real Sour Patch Lids on Instagram and Gab, just so you guys know.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for hanging out for this episode of the Timcast IRL podcast. I hope you check out timcast.com because we will have a special members-only segment coming up in about an hour or so for all of you. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all there.
Bye, guys.
Bye.